Good morning and happy Tuesday. Happer and Schaefer is back here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, and Joey Colbert this morning after Indiana wins the national championship. It happened. We've been expecting it for quite some time, so we've had some time to prepare ourselves for this fact, but it happened last night. We're basically just going to talk for the first, for the entire show and just say things about how amazing and incredible it was.
16-0. Is that the first 16-0
since Yale in like the 18 something?
So we're definitely counting that one.
Hundreds of years ago.
Hundreds of years.
Do we know did Yale beat the Omaha YMCA?
Oh, it was a hilarious schedule. I'll go to it.
Just played Amherst Boxing Club.
It was pretty funny. It was 1894.
Lowell High School.
They played. All right, here it is. Ready? 16 games. They won them all. They actually didn't allow a point that year. So
wow, good for them.
That's pretty impressive. Their first game was at Trinity.
Okay.
The Trinity Bantams. Their second game was against Brown. That's a good win. The third game was at Crescent Athletic Club.
Okay.
I heard they're pretty good.
Then they played Williams, not just a guy named Williams, I don't think. Those three games, by the way, those last three games happened in a 7-day period.
Wow. So they were playing a tight schedule.
Yes,
impressive.
They played basically every 4 days.
What was their average margin of victory in that 7-day?
Actually, they did allow a point. They allowed 4 points to Williams and 4 points to Harvard at the end.
Points were different at that time.
Yeah. Average 42-0, 28-0, 10-0, 23-4, 34-0. So Lehigh was next. Dartmouth, Orange Athletic Club, Boston Athletic Association, Army, Volunteer, New York Athletic Association, at Brown, so double dip with Brown, Tufts, another one with Lehigh, Chicago Athletic Association, and then finished with Harvard and Princeton. There was apparently 20 to 30,000 people at the Princeton game.
Wow.
On December 1st, 1894, to watch the undefeated 16-0 Yale Bulldogs. There you go. There's history.
Impressive.
There's the history for you. But it happened.
I personally, and I don't want this to be like a hot take here, but I personally would take Indiana's season over Yale's, even though Indiana allowed more points.
You think Ohio State is better than Tufts? That was the first one that came to my head.
Yep.
Too.
I would take Ohio State over Tufts.
All right, so would you take Oregon over
Volunteer
Athletic Association?
Yes.
You would? Okay.
No, you could make an argument that college football used to be just Volunteer Athletic Association.
That's true. Not anymore, though, definitely. Alabama or Williams?
If I recall, Williams had a heck of a line.
Williams only lost by 19.
Yeah.
And Indiana beat Alabama by 35. So
I suppose I'm going to go Williams on that one.
And then, of course, Miami up against Trinity.
I'll take Miami. Miami seems tougher than Trinity.
Trinity got rolled over 42-0. Miami only lost by 6. All right. So today on the show, we will talk plenty about like Kurt Cignetti and all of those different things and just the game itself last night. In fact, we'll do that here in just a couple minutes on a post-National Championship Tuesday. By the way, welcome to the off season, everybody. Now, we've been here for a month and a half or so. Actually 2 months almost. We've been here for a long time, but welcome to the off season, everyone. It's great to be here now. Over the next several weeks and months, we'll get to talk about how the people in charge of college football don't know what they're doing with the college football playoff. They don't know what they're doing with the conferences. They don't know what they're doing with anything, but maybe, just maybe, we're on a little bit of a delay this year because basketball. People will care about the basketball.
All right, so obviously in this state, the basketball is being cared about at a new level.
I would hope so.
Do you think more people care about the basketball now?
Maybe. maybe just like Indiana, undefeated Nebraska can inspire people to care about it nationally. There's a lot of corollaries. I gotta admit. So
the Nebraska Indiana thing.
Yeah.
The amount of like Nebraska people that biggest takeaway from last night that I saw on Twitter was posting things about Nebraska basketball was almost annoyingly high in some ways.
Honestly, I get it. I'd be making all the connections.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not that I don't get it, but I don't know, in an entirely different thing.
It's a little bit different
all the way,
context.
All the way around to the idea that the 66 team tournament.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
No,
68.
68.
Yeah.
I knew that wasn't right. It used to be a 66.
68.
Or it used to be a 65, and then I think 66.
And after the first day, it's 66, and after the second day, it's 64, and then we go into the real tournament.
Yeah.
Which we don't have to talk about Dayton this year, which is exciting. Rules comments in on YouTube.
Oh.
Schaefer, look at this. Schaefer, awesome I-80 podcast last week, talking about real concerns with the NU football program. Very refreshing versus the propaganda.
All right. Well, hey, look at that.
Nice job, Schaefer.
I thought that I addressed some real concerns yesterday when I blacked out and yelled for about 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, you had
of which I've received more response than I was probably prepared to get. But there's that.
You get the radio.
People
People listen to the radio or podcast later of the radio.
You have options, and I will likely be ranty in all of them.
I am excited to hear many, many, many rants to come. By the way, rules. If you're interested in the rantings of Mike J. Schaefer, the non-propaganda related rantings of Mike Schaefer, we have him right here. It's great. He's literally no different than he is on his podcast.
Yeah, I think that point should be made.
It's
largely the same.
Fantastic. So good morning, everybody. We'll have a couple guests today. Mitch Shimmer will join us coming up in the 8:00 hour. And as we mentioned, the aforementioned basketball, usually this would be a spot for Jacob Padilla, but he has to do the aforementioned form of media podcasts today at his normal time. So we needed a sub, and we needed a basketball man who could also comment on a variety of other things. So I texted my dear friend John Fanta last night, and I said, John, come on the show. Johnny Fanta, come on the show. And he said, without a shred of hesitation, I am in. So John Fanta will join us at 9:15 today from NBC Sports. I don't know where he's at. I don't know what game he's doing tonight. I don't know what time zone he's in, but it worked for him, and I asked no questions.
I'm sure I could find that out on 506 Sports.
I bet you could. Yeah,
they've been adding more sports onto their catalog.
506 Sports, famously where I used to go to figure out what game I would get besides the Chiefs in Columbus, Nebraska.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it's just the Chiefs now.
Yeah, no, I get that, but you would get the Chiefs and then you would get the Fox game.
Yeah.
So Fanta is doing the Indiana-Michigan game tonight in Ann Arbor on Peacock.
Indiana is kind of plummeting since Nebraska took that 16-point lead.
But they just won a football national championship.
I know, but their basketball team has not won a game in some time and has gotten worse each time out.
Okay, so we'll ask him about Nebraska. We'll ask him about Creighton. We'll ask him about the Big East and the Big Ten and all of those things coming up at 9:15 today. That is our lineup powered by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. We want to hear from you all today. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You can call our text set number, tweet at Happer and Schaefer, at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer, at Joe Arcola on Twitter. You can find us all there. Or, of course, I am monitoring at 1620 The Zone or at No Context 1620, which I haven't been able to tweet from for a long time. But I'm looking at 1620 The Zone, where we get a text, a tweet every morning from a guy who says you guys suck. Like right on the mark. He must be listening.
Wow.
Thank you for listening, Don. We appreciate you. So
That's nice of Don.
You could tweet at us there.
We're part of Don's routine. Have you ever considered that?
I don't know. It's great.
His day really can't go on without letting us know how he feels.
If you know me, you know that I love consistency. I just like doing the same thing every single day. I think there is an absolute upside to it. And so I can appreciate the consistency from Don, who tweets at us at like 6:08 every morning, listens to the first 20 words that we say, and says, actually, I've made my mind up. You guys stink. Does it every day.
Do you think we should measure progress if it takes him until like 6:10? Like we're getting more time in there. What if it's like 6:14 sometime next week? That means that we've gotten more time to really state our case, and we've at least made him hold off on the tweet.
That is a great point. Let's do that.
Yeah, our goal. Do you think we can get to 6:20 by the end of the month for Don?
I don't know. That's high expectations. I don't know. We'll see. But I hope that we can.
I want to shoot high.
Maybe eventually the 7:00 hour.
What if it's in the
actually, you guys
segment?
stink. I almost forgot that you guys
stink. That'd make me feel good.
You can email us, Connor at 1620thezone.com, Mike at 1620thezone.com, and Joey at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox, where they take banking personally. And we say good morning to our YouTube streamers today. Hi, everybody. Where Mike writes in, eventually he will send his tweet at 9:30. He has high hopes for us, Mike does.
I appreciate
that. Travis writes in, does John Fanta wanna talk about Nebraska ball? He does. I even told him. I said, we're going to talk about Nebraska ball. And he was excited about it.
I would think that would be the draw here.
I don't know how many Nebraska ball how many Peacock games does Nebraska have left?
At least a couple more, because Michigan's on Peacock, we discovered, right?
That is correct. Yes, the basketball game of the century, Nebraska-Michigan, is on Peacock coming up here in a few days.
That really does have a chance to be the basketball game of the century. That's not just like a statement.
No, it kind of just is a statement, but it's a big game, that's for sure. Let's see. FS1, Big Ten Network.
Is that
FS1,
the last one?
Big Fox. Yeah, until the Big Ten basketball tournament,
which Nebraska should be avoiding the first and second round of.
Yeah, that's true.
So should be. I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of games left. Things could happen.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay. They'll probably avoid that. All right. So we say good morning to everybody out there. And yes, that's right. You live in a world where Nebraska basketball is undefeated and Indiana football has won an undefeated national championship. And now the only schools to have undefeated seasons with national championships in both football and men's basketball. It happened last night. And all I had to do to suffer through it was look into Fernando Mendoza's eyes when he stared down my soul as he was doing an interview with Holly Rowe last night. He loves looking at the camera. Have you noticed this about him?
Maybe it's all part of his plan to just bend the nation to his will.
And we'll talk about this next when we come back a little bit. Like, he is, people think he's kind of a weird guy, obviously. But he seems very, very genuine.
Yeah.
You know, like all the whole Indiana shtick, it doesn't seem like a shtick at all. Like, it's not that way by design.
I think we're so conditioned to assume everyone is a brand that if someone is like actually truly themselves, we struggle to accept it. Which says more about us than probably that person.
You're right. We should just allow these people to be weirdos, which we appreciate. That run was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, like if I get more stuff like that, if I'm a Raiders fan and I get plays like that, the rest of it, whatever, I'll take it.
I don't care.
I got no problem at all.
I don't care how much he thinks God.
Yeah, I don't need robotic, boring players. I want guys like that.
He's like, but it's funny though, because he has, like, it's almost like he's trying to be robotic a little bit. Like he's clearly been trained on what to say. But no, he can't.
Yeah, he's crossed the threshold into being interesting without even necessarily having to do it.
So we will talk about the Hoosiers. That is the national champion Hoosiers. Also, a couple topics that we left on the cutting room floor yesterday, like, can mega aggressive coaches who love going for it on every single fourth down actually win the Super Bowl?
Oh, I have thoughts.
I'm sure you do. We have I have an NIL question that I thought of yesterday during the show. I want to ask you, Schaefer.
Is it about mod sticks and trampolines?
It's not. It's time for, we'll have Darren Rovell's WTF tweet of the day today.
Saw this.
So this will be good.
See, I see things on the internet. You often accuse me of not knowing what's going on.
Honestly, that surprised me. I thought I was going to pull that one out of nowhere for you.
Well, your former co-host alerted me to it. So,
Okay.
Do you know which co-host?
My former co-host. It could be a variety of different people. Josh Odson?
No.
Let's go back before that. That it was you. Mikers now.
Mike R. Snow.
Mike R. Snow. Good morning,
Mikers
Michael.
now.
Good morning, Michael.
I love that.
Also, Nick Saban has some things to say on television about NIL.
Oh man, there's something that could get a rant going. More just completely disingenuous Nick Saban. I love to hear it.
I'm excited to potentially hit that rant gong again. And a historic day for Omaha yesterday, opening its first 7 Brew with a crowd of 30,000 people.
I saw that too.
At 180.
I drove by it yesterday, and then like my wife was just tracking this because she couldn't believe it.
It is shocking.
It was like people waited for 2 hours.
I'd like to talk about this.
2 hours.
I know. I'd like to talk about this during the show.
I want
today.
someone to call in that sat in line for 2 hours.
The World Herald showed up. It was a news story.
Yeah, it was like blocking traffic.
I know they had to call the police.
Blocking traffic to get bitter water. Bitter brown water.
Okay, hang on. Now we don't have to disparage the quality of the establishment.
Well, no, I mean that's just coffee in general.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which I'm about to start drinking.
Yeah.
And of course we'll talk about the national championship game when we return. Thanks for being with us here on a Tuesday, January the 20th. And we'll be back on Happer and Schaefer after this. right, so we're getting used to the whole morning show mechanics here. Do we are we going to be the type of morning show that says what time it is?
I mean,
do you want to be? Like, we can make that decision right now. I feel like it's a morning show mechanic. Like, it's
yes, because I can think back and
people are in their cars.
Various morning shows I've listened to that, yes.
It's drive
but
time.
In 2026, I almost said 25. That's a thing that I haven't adjusted to. I'm more adjusted to being here, doing radio than I am knowing what year it is, because we're still early enough in January. Is it necessary?
Necessary, no, but it
I feel like you want to do it, so
kind of
I want
a fun quirk.
I want to lean into it if this is the route you want to go. I'm willing to.
Maybe we could do like a whole time update.
Yeah,
we make it a whole thing. Like, we have like a 35-second open, and
the planet is currently at this location relative to the sun.
That could be fun.
That
could be something.
1620 the sundial.
1620 the sundial. I can't see it though, so I don't know. 6:23 in the morning, everybody. Welcome back. It is Happer and Schaefer on 1620 the zone. Quick tweet from Rob before we get to Indiana football here. Has desk gate been sorted out? I was amazed, frankly, standing there watching the whole thing yesterday. It was an argument over a desk that lasted 35 minutes, somewhere in the neighborhood of 30. It was amazing. And neither of you, I don't feel like we made any progress whatsoever.
No, progress was made immediately after the show.
Okay. Yeah. Schaefer went out.
I vacated my
desk
to Matt. Matt now has a desk. I put a sticky note on the desk saying Matt's desk so people would know. And I just took over another area. And, if the guy who assigns desks is unhappy with that, then I'll just say that I was forced to make a decision to keep disputes low amongst the rank and file.
Mr. Desk doesn't care.
My assumption is he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Now, if he goes looking for the stuff that was on the desk that I just took over, I'll have to explain where some of that is. But that's not really my current problem. I suspect he hasn't needed any of that stuff for a long time.
Like his Monster Energy drinks?
No.
If he's looking for
that's Matt, but he doesn't keep anything here, which he just needed a flat surface is all I understood from Matt.
Yeah, I think it was more of a territorial battle.
Yeah,
from what it seemed like.
Again, I would have been fine not taking that desk had anyone known that it was Matt's desk, but no one knew because nothing indicated it. No. Not even the stuff that was in the drawer that was 7 years old.
We support you, Mike.
Thank you.
Through all of these battles. Last night, Indiana won a national championship, and people will say things today about Curt Cignetti and like in hyperbolic ways.
Did he get mad at the Gatorade dunk? Did you see that?
No, I don't think I did.
So he's running out. He's got a smile on his face. He's happy. He's genuinely happy that this has happened. And as he's running out, a couple players like dumped it on him, and he turned back, and the smile was gone immediately.
There he is, right there. Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
and he turns back, but then I think he comes back with the smile, like, "Oh wait, this is a good thing. I didn't randomly get soaked for a bad reason."
He's a very different guy.
You heard the comment. He's going to give himself tomorrow, and then he's back at it on Wednesday.
Yep, and he's going to
by tomorrow, obviously here Tuesday.
So this is his day off.
Incredible!
Congratulations to Curt
Oh
Cignetti.
Man, what is Curt Cignetti doing on his day off?
Curt Cignetti's day off. I don't know. I imagine it's a lot like Ferris Bueller.
I don't imagine it's like that at all. I would imagine he's doing things like sharpening pencils and just organizing around his house.
Oh, those are great days off, though. Those are great days off.
I'm not saying that it isn't a great day off. He seems like someone that when he has that time is going to then put it into something else. And that something else is, I probably haven't been home much. I probably want to organize this place a little bit for the next 25 minutes I'm going to spend at home.
He's rich. He's got a giant house. I'm sure he pays people to get it in order and things like that, which almost defeats the purpose. I love the day off, just the random day off, and you go home and you're like, I'm going to fix my life. I'm gonna get my stuff in order right now. So maybe Signetti's having that today.
To give a glimpse behind the curtain of Connor Happer here, there's nothing that makes him as excited as rearranging the furniture in the living room for a new setup to watch television.
It's a fresh start. It's like getting a haircut.
I didn't. You want to talk about things that I didn't believe when you came in one day and was just on cloud nine because you had rearranged your furniture.
It just
I
gives
was
me
so
a new
unprepared
outlook
for
on
just
life.
the endorphins that had given you.
Yeah, it just gives me a new outlook on life.
I mean, that's one way to put it.
Same thing with
It's
the
like a
haircut.
drug.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Incredible.
So I wonder if Signetti is enjoying some of that sweet stuff today by rearranging his furniture. But from a football perspective, people are going to say some hyperbolic things about Curt Signetti today, and I honestly don't think that you can get to that you can get too out of control with this. This is the greatest coaching job we've ever seen, and if you wanted to call, I don't have the wherewithal to put the case together for it right now. But if you want to make me the case that he has vaulted himself into the pantheon of like great all-time coaches right now, just by doing what he's done over the last 2 years at Indiana, and I suppose you could throw in his stuff at James Madison and Elon as a supplement. But if you want to throw that into the equation, you go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you, because winning a national championship at Indiana was a year ago, a year and a half ago, maybe even 6 months ago, whatever, just completely unthinkable. And we were having conversations from the perspective of it is impossible. It is impossible. And there is a factor here, obviously, that is college football grand scheme of things, wide scope related, which I want to talk about a little bit, because what impact did it have on Indiana's national championship? I mean, we're all, we all have to exist in the time that we exist in. And maybe this just happened at the right time, but I'm not choosing to look at it that way, because I feel like that takes away from how incredible it is that Indiana just won a national championship, and on their path to winning a national championship, beat several teams that were more talented than them, that were more, historically relevant by a long shot, recent powers, current powers, former powers. They beat them all. They beat every single one of them and went 16-0 and won the national championship. And you could make the argument that winning a national championship is harder right now because of what you have to do just to get to that point, winning 3 games or 4 games in the college football playoff.
They won 16 games.
They won 16 games. And their last 3 were against Alabama, Oregon, and Miami. 3
and they
weeks,
never trailed. That's something that probably won't get discussed enough in this. They never trailed in these games. I mean, they were up big on Alabama immediately. Against Oregon, it was 7-7 at one point. Miami, the closest was either 3-0, 10-7. It was a 3-point game all the way through. Yeah. The last time I think they trailed was, you'd have to go back to the second Saturday in
October,
in November, when they were losing to Penn State, and they had one of the great all-time catches.
Touchdown! Wow!
Yeah, one of the great all-time catches,
Joey,
to keep this thing alive.
By the way, we got.
So, I mean, it is remarkable the run that they're on, and I also think it's dumb if you dial it down to, well, it's a transfer portal era. That's how they pulled this off.
I totally agree.
You know who won a national title for Ohio State last year? Will Howard. He's not a lifelong Buckeye.
Joey, do CH.
When Michigan won their national title, they had multiple transfers on their roster too.
Wait,
wow! It was wow.
Thank God Gus Johnson wasn't on the call last night.
You know where I was when I watched that?
Where?
Danny Trejo's Tacos.
Oh, yeah.
Out in Los Angeles. That's where I watched the end of that game. I was eating Danny Trejo's famous queso.
God.
So good.
What a great time. What a great time. And now you have this memory of Gus Johnson saying touchdown, wow.
I don't even think we had the sound on. I'm the one that said wow.
Hit it
My
again,
octave
Joey.
was that.
Fernando Mendoza had a touchdown wow last night.
Oh, he did.
One of the coolest touchdown wows I've ever seen. We'll get to that in a second. Like what you said is so important, I think, when we talk about this, because we want to dumb it down and we want to say, hey, look, like we had a big old reset in college football and Indiana was the team that was best positioned to win because of the circumstances that happened around them. And like, I think that's only partially true. Obviously, you got to, what is it they say? You got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Like, they have a great coach.
Yeah.
They have a great coach. And this happening is not this whole flattening of the sport. It's not a non-factor in what happened with Indiana to win a national championship. But I just think it totally undermines the job that Curt Cignetti did and his players have executed over the last 2 years. They are 27-2 in 2 years. They went to the playoff and lost to the national runner-up last year.
Yeah.
And then Ohio State by like what? A few points. That's it. In 2 years. And that was his first year. At Indiana, once again, I mentioned this yesterday, one of the losingest program in college football history. This was unthinkable. And so I said, I'd love to hear all the hyperbole. So this is Debo. I actually agree with this. This is the best job done by anyone to ever have a job.
It is.
It might be the best job done by anybody to ever have a job.
Like, okay, in that we're saying this is like Sistine Chapel level of work being done here.
I mean, it's pretty much a miracle.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue against that. It's so remarkable, and I'm so glad that it happened because I think if they had come up short, it would have still been dismissed. Like, it's still just Indiana. At the end of the day, it's Indiana. At the end of the day, like, they're not supposed to be here. They're a fun story, but how long is this going to last? They're going to be very good next year.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have to deal with these guys.
They're not going anywhere with
for a long time if this is what he chooses to do. And given that he's giving himself 1 day to celebrate it, I suspect that Indiana will be back and pretty good next year.
There's no doubt.
I don't know that they're going to have a Heisman winning quarterback and that they're
I don't know. The Hoover guy's pretty good.
Yeah, no, this isn't to take away from what they are likely to have. They had a perfect subset of players. I mean, there's some of the catches that Becker was making.
So that's the
thing.
Some
of the plays that these guys that were made, like Surratt has made some catches where I'm just like, whoa, like what is he? Why is this not appearing more mock drafts or whatever?
And so like
they have guys that are just gamers.
They can win games in all these different ways. Obviously, they have the way that they want to win it, but in a couple games this year, they've been sort of grinded down, right? And I mean, last night it was Bain and all those guys for Miami.
Ruben Bain.
Oh my God! He
made himself some money.
They were coming off the edge, and they made it really tough on Indiana. But this is the other impressive thing. So while they have, usually throughout college football history, like you have a style, right? It's one thing or the other. You are either this is over the last 20, 25 years. You are either the fast-paced, up-tempo, high-flying offense team, or you're like, we want to win with our defense, right? Like it's kind of been one or the other. There's been a mix of both. And I think the most impressive thing about Indiana is when they ultimately do in these close games, which they have a few times this year, been grinded down, and clearly they're struggling with one part of the game, and usually it happens up front in that situation, they just withstand it. And they withstand it, and their quarterback makes a play, and their wide receiver makes a play. 2 back shoulder, no look, like these have to be timed perfectly routes to Charlie Becker, to Charlie Becker, who was there beforehand. He was an Indiana football player before Kurt Cignetti.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't think that there would be anybody on that team who could win a national championship one day, especially at Indiana, right? And they just make play after play after play. Obviously, the block punt, by one of their best players.
For the glory of special teams.
I really enjoyed that part of it last night. I have to admit to you. That was fantastic. Great tweet by you.
Thank you. It was an opportunity. I saw it. I took it. And it felt great.
But they
really did.
I mean, they just make play after play after play after play. And I don't know what these guys I don't know what Fernando Mendoza is going to be as an NFL quarterback. You have a better idea since he's probably going to play for the Raiders, which is not probably good for him.
Tom Brady's Raiders.
I don't know what Charlie Becker is going to be. I imagine that Kamara and Surratt are going to be good NFL players, but it's not like they have 10 first rounders on this team. But when they're grinded down and you're in this situational football, they execute and then they make the plays. That is ultimately what every college football coach wants his team to be.
Yeah. Well,
every single college football coach.
It also kind of helps when I think you've got a really good tactician as a head coach. I mean, that coaching staff knew where they wanted to attack Miami in certain ways. They knew that they had those individual matchups, that they were ripe for the back shoulder routes. We saw early in the game, you were throwing a couple go routes, trying to catch them that way. Okay, if that's not working, you're getting the one-on-one coverage on the outside because they trust their defensive backs. You're going to hit some of those. And it's just smart. They had a 1st and 20 early in the game where they just ran a very simple concept, and they knew that Miami was going to be backed off on it. Make the catch, make the run, you pick up 22 yards, you continue your drive. It's just, I don't know. They're both smart, and what they do is they just take the simple concepts and they're really good at it.
Wow.
It's not
they just execute.
It's not like he's running some Chip Kelly offense that nobody's seen around college football or anything like that. They're just executing really simple stuff at a high level.
It's amazing. It's awe-inspiring to watch. And so I want to get to this topic a little bit later. We'll spread out on this. But every time the national championship game happens, we wonder, we apply it to Nebraska, right? Is there anything that we could take from Indiana's situation here that we could apply to Nebraska? Should this give you hope? Is this possible? All these different things. Is it good for Nebraska basketball, right? We'll talk about some of those things. But if there is to be some hope that is taken out of this for Nebraska football, it is that football is simple when you make it simple. When you boil it down to the execution, and you do your job, all of a sudden you could get pretty good pretty fast. And for whatever reason, it's something that Nebraska hasn't been able to do in about 20 years, especially, 7 years. But there should be hope there. There should be a takeaway from what you watch with Indiana, who once again is not more talented than just about anybody in the Big Ten.
Can you go back to the fact where you were talking about that this is one of the losingest programs in college football history? So that in itself should be giving people hope that if you have the right coaches in the right situation, you're going to be able to have an opportunity for success. I mean, Indiana was able to do it in warp speed, and I don't think that's repeatable from a lot of people. But if you can get the right coach, you're going to have the opportunity to be good.
That's the story. Let's take a quick phone call before we take a timeout here. Here is Mike on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Good morning, Mike. Thanks for calling.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. I just wondered what you two gentlemen thought. If I had 2 points. One, what would have happened last night is obviously there was a difference in player talent. If you switch to coaching staffs, what do you think the score is? And second, when you talk about hope, when you listen to Cignetti talk and you listen to Coach Rule talk, it's a night and day difference. One knows exactly where he's going and what it takes to fix it, and I don't think the other one does.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Appreciate it. If you switch the Miami and Indiana coaching staffs,
I think that Indiana would be successful under Mario Cristobal, and I think they would have 8 wins.
What do you think Miami would do with Cignetti?
Win a lot of football games, go 16-0 type thing.
I gotta think so too. At the same time, you have to have I don't know, some of it is an inherent discipline.
Yeah.
Like we didn't see a very disciplined Miami football team last night. Shocking throughout the history of Miami football that we didn't see a disciplined Miami team. But that is in essence the big picture of what Cignetti is bringing to the table, right? Discipline.
Yeah. Well, discipline, and then also like this is who we are. This is what we're gonna do. If this isn't you, there's the door. I mean, I don't know if a guy like Malachi Toney plays in a Cignetti system because I don't know. Like the talent absolutely could,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that's something that he's looking for when he's trying to decide where he wants to go play football. You know what I mean? So like. In just they have the same comparable talent. Some of it is they have to choose to want to play for that. They have to, I it's just hard to know what Indiana's going to look like, but we saw already in the portal, people want to go to winners. That's the easiest way to get talent. Win a bunch of games.
Yep.
Then more people want to go there. Now, individual, Tony seems like he's just going to be
oh my God.
He's
He's
a literal
so fast.
star until he's on his way to
He's
the
the fastest
NFL.
kid alive. Super bad reference.
How many? He basically has had one outstanding play in like every single college football playoff game that Miami played in.
Oh my God. I mean, he
at
had
least one.
I think he had a catch that didn't count last night again. That I was like, what in the? How did he?
The one against Ohio State where
yeah, the one on the sideline.
that was just like a freakish show of athleticism that I'm still not even sure that we can truly appreciate what we saw.
And then the second question for Mike was just comparing Cignetti and Rule. Like, let's just. I mean, we could pump the brakes a little bit here. Like, the results matter here.
Yeah, I mean,
right? It's like you're going to be confident when you're 27-2 and just won the national championship, and you're probably not going to be as confident when you're 19-19 or whatever rule.
I would venture a guess, and I wasn't around it near as much or at all, really. But 2019 Matt Rule probably sounded a lot more like Curt Cignetti because of the success that you're having, the belief in what you're doing, than 2026 Matt Rule does in the last few weeks.
That was a man with a plan.
Yeah.
I hope that we could see a little bit more of that man with the plan.
Gives you confidence. Confidence gives you the ability to verbalize what it is that you want to do, and people accept your identity. I mean, some of it is, I think Nebraska has an idea of what they want to do. They haven't been able to enact it, so we aren't accepting that they have an identity. I mean, so often we talk about these teams not having an identity. A lot of it is because they don't have success that actually makes it feel like they have something.
Yeah, that's probably partly true too, no doubt. So we could continue this conversation. I also want to get to some other parts of the game last night when we return. We'll step aside and be back after this on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. But first, a word from our friends at Underdog Fantasy, where we have a great weekend of football coming up. Underdog is the best place to get in on all of the gridiron action. You can make picks and you can win money. Right now in Nebraska, playing on Underdog is easy. So easy that I could do it. Okay. If I can do it, then I believe you can do it. Just pick your favorite players and pick them to go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and more for this upcoming championship weekend. Get those right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. So we have quarterback options for this weekend, like Sam Darnold and Jarrett Stidham and Drake May and Matt Stafford, who might, maybe you want to go lower on the Matt Stafford things, given the performance from Happer 1620 to score $75 of bonus entries when you play your first $5. Promo code Happer1620. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 19 plus a present in Nebraska. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/playing. Get terms _DFS_.html for details. Consider with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org. All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you this morning here on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. I saw a recruiting story from last night. Steve Wiltfong just put it out. They had a poll quote from one of the recruits of Indiana who they checked in with after the Hoosiers won the national championship game last night. And the line was, quote, Coach Sig is a prophet. Said what he meant and delivered it. I'm like, yeah, once again, say whatever you want about Signetti today. It's going to be difficult for me to argue with you.
It seems like it's a good shirt opportunity in Indiana.
He's a prophet.
Sig is a prophet.
Sig is a prophet.
There were people, I assume you saw that this story, that there were people that camped out overnight to get spots at a bar.
At a bar, yeah.
In Bloomington. Have you ever been to Bloomington?
I've not been to Bloomington.
It's a fun college town. When I went in 2016, I went with some friends and we were heckled for going to the football stadium instead of away.
I think I've heard you tell this story before.
Yeah, away from the stadium towards the bars.
That's awesome.
There's a bar called Nick's that we frequented.
Can't believe you're going to the football game, idiots.
It's basically that.
It's amazing.
They
just won a national championship less than 10 years later.
But my buddy sent that text, and he's like, yeah, of course these people are camping out to go to the bar. They're not going to go to the game.
God, that's amazing.
Which also, that game was very expensive.
Yeah, I saw
key
that.
events have gotten really pricey in society.
Yeah. Yeah, there's demand. I mean, the Indiana fans were,
sure, yeah,
rolling in like
but
crazy.
Just in
Obviously,
general,
it's in Miami.
The cost of this stuff is insane.
Yeah.
If you went to all of those games, starting with the Big Ten championship game where it was undefeated.
So the last 4 Indiana games, is that what you're saying? Oh, man.
How many thousands of dollars is that, even just at the get-in price?
Oh, just the tickets? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, not even counting the cost of everything else.
Yeah, probably, $3
Good
grand.
thing they have this massive alumni base spread out around the country.
And they have Mark Cuban.
Let's
take a phone call on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Here is old man Doug. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning. This question's for Schaefer because he'd probably remember, but maybe he won't. Mendoza in the transfer portal. Who were his other offers? I'm just curious if Nebraska made a play for a guy like that, or who was all after Mendoza when he decided to transfer to India? Because, and my greater point as it relates to Nebraska is I think Signetti understands how to recruit the right kind of kids. In other words, the ones that want to be there, want to put into work, and aren't just all about the money. That's the way it appears to me. And look what happened. And then the other thing, Schaefer, I completely disagree with your take on the running back room. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm more excited about the lack of D-line progress in the portal and in development. And I'm more worried about the D-line than I am the running back room. I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate you.
I'll start with the last one first. I don't know that the running back is the thing that I'm most concerned about. It's just a thing that I've been yelling about for a decade now, regardless of staff, regardless of running backs coach, regardless of head coach, regardless of what they're, said. It hasn't been a big enough priority. It hasn't been something that Nebraska has been able to utilize, given that its history has a number of amazing running backs. And there's just been this sort of dearth of good ones for a while. And then on top of it, the approach, I don't understand at all. I understand their approach with the defensive line. They're trying to get people and they're just being told no because they didn't have a defensive line coach.
Right.
Like, so there's, I can go on a rant about not having a defensive line coach when it's January, whatever, and you're now a few days into the portal. And we have Tim Verghese on here telling us that, everyone he's talking to, they have the money to be able to be in the, in the picture. People just weren't interested because they didn't know who their defensive line coach was going to be.
Right.
That's an entirely different problem than what's happening at running back, where it just seems like they're unwilling to be in the conversation to add running backs because they allegedly really like what they have. As far as Mendoza,
It doesn't look like he
I
was
think it
really
was just Cal to Indiana. I think that was
So
sort of
he
a done
was-
deal.
he was originally committed to Yale.
Yeah.
And then at the last second, Cal came in, and then played a couple of years there.
He
And
was very good at Cal.
in the transfer portal. He only took one visit, and it was to Indiana, and that was
I
it.
think they were the
Yeah.
team that immediately, and who knows what was decided prior to when the portal opened between parties there, but basically he was very good at Cal. Michael Bruntz has been on Francisco Mendoza more than any other person that I know of, because Bruntz is just
He loves
genuine
West Coast football.
fascination with West Coast football when the rest of America is not tuning in. So he thought this was a great get right away, like just immediately. And it turned out to be a Heisman quarterback that won a national championship, that had an absolutely insane run to
Crazy.
score on that touchdown. Like, just bonkers.
It was
stuff.
taking that dude was getting smacked in the face all night last night. Like multiple, and you can see it, as far as the game was concerned. You could see it on Cignetti's face eventually. And he said it going into halftime. They Holly Rowe, I think it was Holly Rowe who was there, and she asked Cignetti at halftime, like, "Hey, what do you need to do in the second half?" And he was like, "Hey, we just had like 4 things that were personal fouls and that were not called. Like, what's going on here?" Like, he was that was basically the gist of it, and it continued to happen throughout the rest of the game. The officiating seemed relatively one-sided in that game, and it was still Mr. Bruised Arm, bloody face, like Heisman winner, who came out with the big play at the end of the game.
If you're a Raiders fan, you have to at least appreciate the fact that your next quarterback is going to be tough as hell, because he took shot after shot in that thing. And, he wasn't ever turning to the official and, doing the demonstrative thing that you're going to get from every NFL quarterback ever, it's a tough player. And then we got what was probably 700 shots of his mom sitting in attendance.
A lot.
I have to say, ESPN's production of college athletics, where we have to go to the family all the time, at its absolute apex of worst with the CWS. I don't need it. I don't need you to turn this into the Little League World Series. I don't particularly care for it in the college football playoff either.
Just a glimpse or two is okay.
You don't have to do it after every
Yeah.
play.
They don't need the whole thing.
It's just
go back to
so
Cignetti
annoying.
making faces.
Yeah.
You got
or
great
not
content
making
there.
faces and just staring blankly ahead.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. 7:00 hour coming up next on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. 7:07. Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Not quite as cold or windy this morning, but of course Schaefer doesn't feel weather in the morning apparently.
You know, I got out of my car to walk the like 8 steps that I'm supposed to feel all the weather in to the door here. And I think it's because my car is just so warm and you're in there, or in my case, it's like a 20-some minute drive. And so you just like,
You're incubating.
you come out and I was basically in this like little cocoon. You don't really feel anything. And then before you know it, you're at the door fumbling around trying to get your key card. And then you get in and you don't think anything of it again.
So you could just as well wear shorts and a t-shirt.
There are probably going to be times that I roll in wearing shorts and you look at me like this guy's insane. And
Good old middle school days.
Yeah, there was always the shorts kid in middle school.
I don't know that that was ever me, but I'm probably more willing to wear like shorts in like 50-degree weather than some people would be.
Yeah.
So I'm not certainly wearing them now or anything, but
Mike
again,
Schaefer,
we don't have to
I don't
walk
feel
that
weather.
far from where we park to the door.
We don't.
so-
It's really not that big of a deal. You're probably not that crazy, but I just, I like to be prepared for whatever I might run into on any given day. Maybe there's a snow squall today, or maybe I have to go outside and do something. I don't know.
Do you have a box in your car with like a blanket and all the requisite stuff if a squall were to hit you?
I don't at the moment,
So
but
you like to be prepared, but you're
I'm
not
being-
really.
I'm being
prepared.
encouraged to have stuff just in case something bad happens.
right. My dad would be a little bit disappointed in me if I told him. She may be listening now. Actually, they're in anyway. They're I don't think they're listening right now. He might be disappointed to hear that I took the blanket and the flashlight and the gloves out of the car. Always got to have the gloves in your car. That's what he would say.
You gotta be prepared. I mean, you want that stuff.
Yeah.
I drive around now
Usually
with like backup coat for my kid and a backup set of gloves and hats in my car just in case he needs it.
Just stuff.
But not for me, just for my kid.
just stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Just stuff everywhere.
Pretty
All
much
right.
true.
So let's hit this for a few minutes. And by the way, Mitch Sherman's going to join the show in a little over an hour, and NBC's Johnny Fanta will join us at 9:15 to talk some hoops. Also, we have a concert announcement. This is the first ever Happer and Schaefer concert announcement.
I assume this is a weekly thing.
You will be here. I don't know if it's a weekly thing, but you'll be hearing a concert announcement today at 9, followed by a subsequent ticket giveaway to said concert.
Oh,
So get prepared. Anyway,
are we gonna need a keyword again?
no, I think I'll probably just do like caller number something.
Okay.
We'll do Q to call.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty boring that way. Unless you wanted to come up with a keyword.
I have an idea for a keyword.
Okay, let's tell people the keyword.
Tell them in advance now.
Yeah, and then they could listen for the keyword.
Well, clearly after yesterday's thing, it's got to be desk.
Desk.
You call in, you tell Joey desk, you get I don't know, submitted to how this thing works. But what they still need to be number 8 as well.
Yeah, let's say when we announce said concert, which we can't announce yet, but at 9:00 we'll announce a concert. And then when we do that, you ring us up at 402-951-1620. And then you be caller number, let's just say you be the first person to say desk to Joey.
Do we say Matt's desk or just desk?
Desk.
That's Matt's desk.
That's Matt's desk, or that's Mike's desk, or Rich Bisaccia, or what was the kicker? McManus.
We'll come up with something.
No, we're gonna do desk. So call 402-951-1620, not now, but in a couple hours when we announce this concert, and you will win tickets to said concert. I think you'll enjoy it. So remember the keyword desk. But let's talk about this. So we touched on it a little bit in the last hour. We've been all over Indiana football, deservedly so. They won the national championship. I don't know if you guys have heard, but every year we do this thing where we try to glean something from Team X's run to the national championship or to the national championship game. And is there a lesson that we could take from that? And is there something that will give you hope that Nebraska football can eventually, have something like this happen to them. So basically the question is, should Nebraska have hope off of this? And I think there's a variety of different angles to this. We got a YouTube comment earlier from Jim who says, I may have decided last night watching discipline, execution, game management, physicality, etc., not to renew my Husker football tickets. So what his reaction was is, I have seen this and it's not anything close to what I expect or what is possible. And so let's not do that. If you are an optimist, you could see what happened with Indiana last night and you could say, gosh, what they're doing is doable.
It's obtainable.
What they're doing is obtainable. What they're doing is repeatable. Much like Nebraska basketball right now, this is something that everybody can do with the right cocktail, with the right ingredients, and it is possible. So I do think it should give you some sort of hope that this one day could happen. Maybe not as fast or as big or whatever, but like it's doable, and I do think that's the takeaway.
Yeah, no, it's definitely doable. It's a question as to whether it can be done in the current iteration of Nebraska football, and I think right now
we're talking about with the coach.
Yeah, and I think right now we don't think so because just
I don't feel like
they aren't executing when they need to. They aren't disciplined when they need to be. They aren't making the plays when it's time to make the plays. They don't have their sort of system that they can recruit to and operate around. And even if you're the biggest optimist about the changes that they've made, I think there's reasons to think that they can be better. They still have to go and show you that they can do these things. So much of it is, it all sounds good and the ideas of it sound good. But then when you get into the games, having Dana Holgorsen as your offensive coordinator was supposed to lead to more than 22 points a game. You brought in, after Tony White left, you brought in a defensive coordinator that talked about Nebraska being aggressive and bringing it to the quarterback. And then you couldn't generate a pass rush to save your life.
Hey, let me ask you this real quick. As I interject something you said, made me think of this. Can anybody out there name any Indiana assistant coaches?
Not me. Max Olson could. He was basically like
embedded
tweeting about
in there.
them. Yeah.
Yes. I can't.
Yeah. Their names came up. He said this in our interview last week. Their names had come up for potential head coaching jobs, but they all largely passed to stick around because they wanted to see this through.
Kind of interesting, right? Like every offseason, I think we sort of chase, some sort of big name or big coordinator, guy who's got a great resume or whatever. Mm-hmm. And here's this guy winning at Indiana in the biggest way possible. And, his staff is his I don't know where his staff came from. Did his staff come from James Madison?
A lot of them came over from James Madison. So he hired his buddies.
He's hired his buddies, right? So what I'm saying here is I think sometimes both we as a fan base and the coaching staff of the program in general gets caught up in just thinking about the wrong stuff, thinking about stuff that is not important. And there is this conversation about optics and how you can't be ashamed. And I think Rule in that context was talking about it in terms of the things that they can build, like with the money that they have. But I believe it applies to a lot of other things in a college football program too. Like, you have to do what you're going to do. And if you're not good enough at the end of the day, then so be it. And it may very well turn out that way, that this staff or whatever staff is just not good enough to get the job done. But what I can't stand and what I've been sick of for at least the last 3 coaching staffs, right? This one, Frost and Riley, is that something about them changes. And whether it's the place or the pressure or the optics or what people are telling them or the presence of greatness and tradition or whatever it might be, when those coaches got here, you believed in their plan. And some of that's just day one stuff. I get it. But it it changed, and they say different things and they talk differently, and they're worried about the wrong stuff in a variety of different ways. And like, maybe it's the scope of the job and the magnification of the job. And, when you are the Nebraska head coach, you are a lot of things to the people in the state. I don't know what it is, but what the lesson inside of the lesson for Indiana and applicable to college football coaching staffs is they just put their head down and did exactly what they set out to do. And maybe it was the fact that they were unburdened by history and tradition that helped them do it so fast or something like that. I don't know what the right answer to that is, but I cannot stand watching these coaches just fundamentally they're different. By the time they're done here, they're saying completely different stuff, and they're all beat up and everything. And we've seen the presidential looking photos of the guys who come in year one, and then in year 4, they look like completely different people. It's crazy. And I can't, I hate watching it go that way because you just don't know. I don't even think I don't know. Do we actually know how good of a coach Scott Frost could have been? I don't know, because we never saw his plan. He never felt the ability to, for whatever reason, do what he originally intended to do. And that's because maybe after the first year he learned more information and felt like they had to change this, and this, or he was definitely burdened by the history and the tradition and all those different things. But I never felt like we figured that out. And I feel like we're headed down a similar path with this coaching staff too. And that, more than anything, angers me. Like, that's why Nebraska can't get it right.
Yeah.
Part of it, anyway. And you have to have a great coach.
There's certainly a pressure that comes at Nebraska that wouldn't be there at Indiana. I mean, it's that much is obvious. And then it's been a variety of different ways from each of the last 3 coaches. I mean, you had Mike Riley coming off of that season in 2016 where it's just forced upon him by Sean Eichhorst, like, you're firing your defensive coordinator and we're going to hire this Bob Diaco guy. Like, that wasn't what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
But that's, and that train wrecked their team in a way. But that's also, if you don't have the ability to, stand up and be like, yeah, I'm not doing that, you don't make that decision for me. I mean, it would have happened one way or another, whether it was Bob Diaco or something else for Mike Riley. With Scott Frost, I think a lot of it was what he did to have success at UCF was not repeatable at Nebraska. And so he didn't have any other way to build it.
Maybe.
And was unwilling to find other ways, or
do we know for sure that it wasn't repeatable? I
think we do. I think we know that you couldn't take small players and have them be faster than the rest of the conference and win on the edge without size, win without wide receiver talent, there's just a lot of things that didn't work.
And they had wide receiver talent. At UCF, they were just smaller and faster.
Right. And people hate this, I think, but it really matters to know the conference of which you're playing in.
That's true. But I feel like there's, especially him, he thought about that too much. I thought that was too heavy of a presence.
I think some of it is his offense looked at its best when he had a Stanley Morgan in it. And they never found another way to replicate that, whether it was going out and, how much time did we spend in our lives, you and I, talking about Omar Manning and the process of recruiting Omar Manning and getting Kilgore Junior College wide receiver Omar Manning. And then what did he do at Nebraska?
Not very much. He had a great catch in the Oklahoma game.
Yeah, he had a great catch in the Oklahoma.
He had a touchdown. Wow.
So,
it's a great catch.
There's just different things for all of you. I think some of it for me with Matt Rule is like the expectation of when he got here is you were going to be a really disciplined, defensive-oriented football team, and it really has not played out this way. Like, they've been somewhat disciplined, and they've been somewhat of a defensive football team, but then you go out and you have the opportunity to get a 5-star quarterback, and you invest all this money in offense, and none of it looks how it's supposed to. And so you're fighting that battle. Meanwhile, your defense has receded to the point that it's not a strength for you anymore. And so you're neither good enough on offense nor good enough on defense. You had a great run with special teams in 2025. We'll see what it looks like going forward in 26. So again, like especially with Matt Rule, you're in your 4th year. What are you as a team? What do you have to build around? We have no idea going into the 4th season.
Yeah, no,
not a clue.
Nope, we do not. Corey writes in. He says on YouTube, last night's physicality, play calling, execution, and in-game coaching shows how far Nebraska is from being a national championship team. Oh, I mean, sure. But once again, like, I just choose to look at the same thing in a very different way. Like,
I also
Nebraska is not any of those things right now, but they can be. It's like you just have to execute.
Matt Rule's in-game coaching is not any worse than Mario Cristobal's.
Yeah.
Famously, one of the worst in-game coaching, end-of-game coaching coaches out there in Cristobal. He just has a talent surplus and a style of physicality, and he wins with the lines in a way that no one else is nearly as good at in college football. They are the best up front defensively, and they spent the most money and are the best up front with their offensive line, and everything else comes around that. They have some playmakers. They're in an area of the country that's incredibly talent-rich, that's still a program that's a viable recruiting option, no matter whether they're dormant or not. So he has inherent advantages, but his in-game coaching is not one of them. Miami is not disciplined. They're never going to be a disciplined team.
That's just how they operate.
So, there's stuff that they have their own flaws, but they have so much talent that they can overcome that. Nebraska is very unlikely to be in a talent surplus over other teams. And when they have been, they aren't winning those games either. So there's other things that are at play there.
Let's take a phone call on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Here is Brian. Hey, Brian, thanks for holding. What's going on?
Oh, not much. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, Connor nailed that on about the coaches changing their what am I trying to say? Their tone. Rule's already doing it. Now he's kind of pointing fingers at the like this wasn't my problem or stuff like that. And now he's showing he can't even recruit. He can't even keep recruits. We're maxed out with this guy. This guy won't turn around. I mean, I think we're about two about as good as we're going to get with Matt Rule. I mean, it's kind of bad. I mean, I don't think he's a bad guy, but I just his actions don't, or his words don't. His actions don't match his words a lot of the time that I'm seeing here lately, and it's kind of discouraging to me. But kind of all I had.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Brian. Appreciate it. I mean, there is that sort of thought at the moment. I don't know. I mean, obviously they're not maxed out. There's more that they can get out of this, considering they've left a lot on the table.
But I think what he's saying is this feels like it's the ceiling of what Nebraska is at the moment.
For the record, I always I said this when he got here. I thought that Rule would be a floor raiser, and I think he has done that. And I didn't think we had the evidence to suggest that he could take or who knows? He's probably capable, but I wasn't certainly making the case that he was going to be the guy to take them to the next level after that. And that's where we sit right now. That's where we sit right now. So there's a big question. Like, I don't think it has to be this big, this big thing. It's possible that he was just that he is not going to be the guy to take Nebraska to the next place. It's possible that he is, though. I just don't think that we know that given his career trajectory so far.
I don't have enough evidence, and I think it is sort of this is where I'm at with it. I don't have enough evidence that I'm anywhere close to being like, they need to move on.
Yeah, I'm not, not at all.
What my frustration is it feels like they're not moving forward. It just feels like they're very much in this spot, and I don't see a reason to think that they're the breakthrough or there's the likelihood of getting to the 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, wins. Does the light come on and they just figure it out?
Part of that for me is, and it goes back to the whole neighborhood conversation we had last week. I think they are underachieving when they have the opportunities to win 8 or 9 games, and they're ending up in the 7-win area. Right. And so when that's happening, and now you're in a schedule where the expectation is it's going to be really hard to win 7 games. I haven't seen this version of Nebraska show me that they can go out and overachieve and maximize and get every ounce of what they are out of what they're doing. I mean, that's Curt Cignetti in Indiana football, right? You don't watch them and think, well, they left a lot on the table. No, they broke the damn table, and they're standing over it wondering why the table is as weak.
Get
as
out of
it
my
is.
face, table.
Yeah, exactly. They're yelling at the table.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just a totally different feeling where it just feels like Nebraska is just letting other teams off the hook. They're giving games away. There's just feelings when you walk out of this where it's like, man, it shouldn't have been what it looked like, especially the last 3 games of the year. I mean, Utah is one thing. That was, I think, one of the 3 best teams that didn't play in the college football playoff that Nebraska went up against.
Could be. Yeah.
You know, in my estimation, take that for whatever it's worth. You could argue any number of teams. I don't really care. You shouldn't have lost like that to Iowa and Penn State.
No.
You at home in a game where you're playing with them in the first half, you never should have lost that way to Iowa. I don't care that you didn't have Dylan Raiola. I don't like, you have to find ways to stay in that game. And Penn State, again, you're taking on an interim coach where Matt Rule has lost every game against every interim coach he's ever faced. He's 0-4, which is just a stunning statistic when you account for the fact that it includes Michigan State and Michigan, then Penn State and Utah. I guess 3 of those are name brand teams, but the time of which you're catching them in these situations,
Yeah,
you know,
it's nonsense.
you should have been able to pull at least one of those. I guess I take that back. UCLA had an interim coach, so they were 1-4.
That's right.
1-4 against the interim. So it's just, I'm not going to feel better about Nebraska football until it feels like they're at least reaching the level that they should be at or exceeding it and showing that they can overachieve. Baylor showed and Temple showed that Matt Rule could do that there. At Nebraska, we have not seen that he can do that.
The other thing, one more quick thought before we take a break here, and I want to get to something that Nick Saban said yesterday coming up on the show, which I'm sure Schaefer will enjoy. The other really impressive thing to me about Indiana, and this is just my style, I don't know how you guys, sort of like your college football teams or your sports teams, but if you're a fan of Nebraska basketball, here's a corollary to Indiana football. They are not a macho, like, celebrating chain, like turnover chain or turnover basket or turnover Nerf gun or whatever the hell they're not doing any of that stuff. They're quiet, they're sort of boring, and they just relentlessly execute. Now you got to have a bunch of really, really tough ass dudes to do that, but I love watching them play for that exact reason. They don't make any noise whatsoever. They just work and are really, really good at their jobs and execute over and over again. So there's the parallel there to Nebraska basketball. It's the same thing with Nebraska's group of guys right now.
It's the same thing with Nick Saban's Alabama, the lunch pail, grinded out kind of guys that don't care about their stars and came out of nowhere to be good.
That's right. That's what famously people have been saying about Alabama for a long time. All right, we'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. The Omaha Mavericks return to Baxter Arena on Saturday. They'll take on Colorado College, and young Matt, middays with Matt, will have a chance to win your way into the game. That is Saturday at 7 at the Baxter, the Mavs against Colorado College. Also, if you're interested in the Omaha Supernovas, they're back on Thursday at the Chai, and we will have your opportunities to get in throughout the week. Quick note here. This is from our dear friend and Friday guest, Max Olson. Friday guest, right? Yeah, Friday guest, Max Olson.
Thursday guest.
I'm still getting my days right with all these different things. I had to write them down yesterday.
You made me double take, and I was like, nope, just Thursday.
I guess right. Indiana quarterback Alberto Mendoza has entered the transfer portal as of 13 minutes ago.
Wow.
Will he go to the NFL with his brother?
Guy wins a national championship, and then he's out.
Probably wants to go. Is he younger or is he older?
Well, I mean, I assume he's younger.
I don't know.
I would assume
It's that would be the assumption, but I'm not sure how.
Yeah, he's a freshman, so
Okay.
I'm guessing you're right. He's just wanting to go play somewhere. Josh Hoover likely to be the starting quarterback for the next Indiana iteration.
Somebody will go out there and they will find them. They will try to make a Fernando out of an Alberto. So good luck with that. Anyone in college football. By the way, the transfer portal window is now open for both Miami and Indiana.
5 touchdowns for Alberto Mendoza.
Nice.
On like 20 some 24 attempts, 5 touchdowns.
That's a pretty good rate. Not bad at all. So there was some chatter, of course, pregame yesterday. Nick Saban talking about a variety of different things. This is mostly a joke. Here he is on with Pat McAfee yesterday, live from Miami, to talk about NIL's impact on the sport. Watch along.
I didn't get the memo because I'm not a part of it. Who are you SEC people pulling for? Another national championship, rooting for anybody else, or what are you guys? Miami because it's kind of southern.
Yeah, you got to break up the Big Ten streak.
Yeah, you can't have.
To me, in this day and age of the culture we have now in college football, paying players, name, image, and likeness, transferring, it's an advantage for the Big Ten. I don't care. You'll never convince me otherwise.
The North?
The North.
The North?
Because people in the South would not go to the North unless you paid them. Now
Right. I got to admit, he's pretty funny.
Yeah, that was well timed.
He's pretty good.
It was a well timed line.
Is NIL an advantage for the North because you could only pay people from the South to go north? That's the only way they go.
Yeah, I imagine that, when both sides, the South and the North, now can offer money, the North seems like a good way to get out of the South.
Where before it was just the South.
Famously. Tennessee, very upset by this.
There has been a lot of I would say, what's amounted to like almost squirming from the SEC and SEC types over the last couple weeks here leading into this. Big Ten's won 3 consecutive national championships, and I'm far from the person to come on the radio.
3 different teams too, which I think should also be noted.
Important. I'm far from the person to come on the radio and be like, Big Ten. Like, I hate the stupid Big Ten. But like at the same time, I really like watching the SEC squirm.
Oh, yeah.
And they're looking at themselves right now like, what are we going to do? How is this happening? And how do we fix it? How do we make it different? How do we win national championships again? We, as a conglomerate, where the Big Ten schools are like, I don't care about any of these other Big Ten schools. Let's just win all the games that we can.
Well, and then they had to watch as a Miami team that, the propagandists were telling you were nowhere near as good as a 3-loss Texas team or Vanderbilt or whatever else.
Oh, the Vanderbilt conversation.
They didn't go through the vaunted SEC, So a lot of this, college football is cyclical. So we would have probably been here some way, somehow, because that's just how these things tend to work. But throw in the fact that NIL has been a massive equalizer, and guys aren't just staying in their geographic region because they have a chance to play there for the glory of their local team anymore. So you have that. You have the fact that pretty widely regarded that people were ending up at Ole Miss and Tennessee for, financial reasons more than probably for just the overall football success that they were having.
Maybe.
And that's not to say that there wasn't stuff going on elsewhere.
Sure.
Because there was, but now it can happen everywhere. But there is such a big difference between, this guy might have gotten a little bit to be at that school and that's not an SEC school. Okay, sure, fine. There's a big difference between that and Texas Tech having a billionaire funding their, sporting operation because he likes sports and he has billions of dollars from oil money.
Yeah, the SEC. This is probably a gross generalization here, but it always felt like the SEC, as far as the donor bases were concerned, were a little bit more, like we're all in this together, that type of thing. In the Big Ten, for the northern schools, as this NIL thing has happened, and it's happening in a very public way, I think they have found their billionaire donors.
Yeah, I mean, the Miami
Cuban
owner was instrumental in getting Bryce Underwood to Michigan.
Yep.
Things like that.
We have Mark Cuban on the
Right.
sidelines for Indiana last night, and he's donating all sorts of money and all these different things. So that has definitely happened. It feels like at least on a more public scale in the northern part of the country than it has in the South.
Well, there's an element to NIL that allows people who wouldn't otherwise own sports teams. I know Mark Cuban is sort of a different one here, and of course, the Rosses down in Miami are different with it too. But you're more directly involved in the success of your team than you ever have been before because you can just give money in a way that can utilize. Hey, I want more defensive ends. You know what I can do? Here's a pot of gold.
Please go get more defensive ends.
And they do.
And don't get us wrong here. This is not, as we talked about earlier, this is not us saying like, oh, this is how it was possible for Indiana, because I just feel like that takes away, their due credit and what they've done in such a short period of time.
But
here.
a school like that is able to compete when the playing field is more level.
Right.
And
Like-
it's not even level, but more level than it was before.
What would have happened after last year to Indiana in the world that we used to live in was there, or in a world where Mark Cuban doesn't exist or Indiana doesn't have this support that they have, like their roster gets poached and it's over.
Their coach is gone.
Their coach is gone. Right?
I mean,
Like,
he could still theoretically be gone because of the way that his contract was written, that he basically has an out anytime he gets to a certain level of the college football playoff, or it triggers an automatic extension, renegotiation, and an extra several billion.
I believe that the stipulation in his contract, now that they've won the national championship, is that he has to be like a top 5 paid head coach in college football.
No matter what.
Yes.
Which is just incredible.
And Indiana's like, awesome. We just won a national championship.
Is he a Sexton client? Jimmy Sexton, the agent to the college football coaching stars?
I'm not sure.
Because whoever did that, nice work by them.
Kurt Signetti's agent. He is a very happy man.
Remember when Mel Tucker set the world afire with his extension at Michigan State?
Yes. Yes, I do. Patrick Strong.
Okay.
So he is not
Good for Kurt Signetti.
Yeah, just once again, throwing the college football world for a loop.
I like it.
I do too. Have different agents.
Please.
Tyler writes in, gosh, I wish Nebraska had a billionaire to help with NIL.
Well, they have a billionaire. He just
right down the street.
Doesn't help with NIL. It is right down the street.
It's right down the street. We could do the show there from one morning and say, help. Hold up signs that say, help. Warren, help.
I mean, he did just retire, right? Like he announced his retirement.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be giving away his money anytime soon. Doesn't seem like that kind of guy to me.
Would he really even miss it?
No, he probably wouldn't even notice.
See?
Well,
and Nebraska could use a defensive end.
That's all we want, just a defensive end. Help, please. All right, we'll be back. Joey has the headlines with Mike Schaefer asking, would he click on the
Oh,
link?
this is a daily thing. All
yeah, I mean,
right.
this is just Joey's headlines now. We're just repackaged it.
But
just
we're
different.
clicking on links.
After this on 1620 The Zone. The 1620 The Zone also has some online contests for you all today. And don't forget to stay tuned. We have a concert announcement in just a little bit over an hour. But a couple of them to alert you to. Journey in Lincoln, Thursday, April 9th at Pinnacle Bank Arena for the Final Frontier Tour. You can win tickets online, 1620thezone.com. Just enter there. And Chris Stapleton and the All-American Road Show Tour. Everyone a cowboy on a white.
What was the last concert you went to?
I went to one recently that I was just reminded of, relatively recently. We were surprised when we talked about it the other day.
Tyler Childers, because you forgot that you went?
Exactly.
I got to see the Scorpions down in Vegas back in August.
He saw the Scorpions.
Yeah.
Scorpions.
Well, you could see Chris Stapleton October 7th if you just enter online 1620zone.com.
In their long-lasting tour that's lasted for 5 years. It was their 60th anniversary.
Whoa. The Scorpions have a 5-year-long tour going on right now?
The long tour.
Their long farewell tour, they like to call it, where they just keep on doing concerts.
I've gone to multiple Elton John farewell tours. I'll go to the next one when he comes back, too.
I saw an Elton John concert in Lincoln once. That was great.
Yeah. No, it was a great concert.
I also saw Billy Joel in Lincoln. That was really exciting.
Should have went to that.
That was a great time. And Jay-Z, and the lights went out. Many concerts in Lincoln, actually. Did you know that I worked at Pinnacle Bank Arena when it opened?
No.
I was one of the green shirt guys, one of the ushers.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I wanted a job, and so
a little extra income,
just a little bit.
All right.
And so I got to.
You were a greenie.
Yeah, I watched I was assigned
event staff.
I was assigned to the team tunnel for Nebraska ball on opening night against Florida Gulf Coast.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you look at the big picture of opening night at Pinnacle Bank Arena, I'm the guy in the green shirt in the corner.
Do you remember the first basket made at Pinnacle Bank Arena?
Probably. Yeah. Who was it made by? David Rivers?
I'm like 99% sure it was a Turan Petaway banked in 3-pointer.
Awesome. I don't remember much about that game at all.
Someone on the text line or the YouTube will be able to back me up on this.
All right. So we got a couple headlines for Schaefer. We're going to ask which one he's going to. Joey, you have an idea for this. What are we doing?
We're going to call a Cup of Joe headlines. Just a little pun, just a couple headlines instead of three like we normally do.
We get that? We get the pun?
So 2 headlines.
2 headlines.
And I'm picking one.
Picking one.
Yep, you're picking one.
You only get
picking one cup of Joe.
One choice. All right. What do we got?
Either taking the blue or red pill kind of a thing.
Gotcha.
Okay. The first headline is Rabbit repeatedly attempts to enter vehicles in Colorado town. The other one is Baby Sea Lion rescue from California parking lot.
Where do you come up with all these animal stories?
Yeah, a lot of animal stuff.
Where do you come up with the animal stories?
This is what I'm finding.
Are you on animals.com or something?
Yes, I'm on animals.com.
All right, which one is it, Schaefer? Sea lions or rabbits?
Sea lions.
Tomorrow you'll have a pick between giraffes and elephants.
Elephants.
All right.
I did see a news story about elephants I might bring up the next day.
But elephants are almost an auto click.
All right, sea lions,
okay.
Joey.
So a baby sea lion will wander out of the water in California and cross traffic to a parking lot where he was wrangled by security guards and a police officer. The Mountain View Police Department said on social media that dispatchers received a report of a sea lion in the area on Garcia Avenue.
And what town? What town is this?
Over in around San Diego.
Okay.
A lot of things happening in San Diego. I think our last story was in San Diego.
I went to San
the library
Diego.
book was in San Diego.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
If I went to San Diego and I saw a sea lion just on the road, I mean, I'd be like, whoa.
Would you kidnap it?
No, I would.
I would not go near.
I don't think I would approach it. Yeah.
You wouldn't approach the sea lion?
No, I mean, I would like to maybe take a picture from far away.
It's a baby sea lion. How much damage could it do?
I don't, just something about wild animals that scares me. Right? Do you guys don't have that?
I mean, I'm not.
Like even if it's a deer, like if it's not gonna, it's not gonna do anything to you. I just don't want to go.
Have you seen those videos of what deers can do to those homes?
That's what I'm saying.
So
those are very real.
So my family live off in a remote area in Colorado, and wildlife is around at all time. They're they are protected by the community. But there's like a herd of 6 deer that like to hang around the house, and family like to feed them, of course.
No, you can't feed them. They'll keep coming back.
That's
rule number one.
Yeah, that's apparently my mother did not learn that lesson until like a month in.
Well, maybe she's, she wants more company.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Okay.
I guess.
You got some cats around?
Yeah, we got a cat.
Okay.
But anyway, officers promptly responded and met with on-scene security guards who had safely secured the sea lion pup. During the MVPD sea lion rescue, Officer McPherson carefully guided the sea lion out of traffic and away from danger. She then escorted the pup back to her patrol vehicle. The sea lion was turned over to the Marine Mammal Center, which dubbed the pup Baby Mac.
Baby Mac, the little sea lion.
So I'm just wondering, when they got it in the vehicle, was it in the back with the cage and everything? So it's just hanging
Take
out
him
back there?
downtown.
I would have liked a photo of the sea lion pup in the back of the vehicle.
There is a photo of the sea lion pup. I don't think there's one in the vehicle.
Yeah, it's better in the vehicle.
I would like to AI create baby sea lion in cop car.
I hope it's driving the cop car with a little hat.
With the little sailor's hat.
Oh, look at that. There you go. All right. Well,
little fella.
Nice job by law enforcement in the San Diego area, and nice job by Baby Mac.
But you're not going to run down the guy who has the book about Homeward Bound before it became Homeward Bound.
Correct.
At least you're helping the sea lion from getting smushed on the road.
I wonder what they did with it after that. Maybe it took it to the second best zoo in America.
Oh, wow.
Not the first best zoo.
So it was taken to the center's animal hospital, where he was found to be severely malnourished and very weak.
I bet he was laying on the road. Sea lions don't go on the road.
It's improving in hospital care right now, so it's doing good.
Okay, excellent news.
We might have to double back here later in the week to see if there's any updates on the care of the sea lion.
Sea lion update. All right, thank you, Joey. There's the couple of Joey headlines. We're still workshopping it. We're figuring out what's working for us. 8 o'clock hour. Mitch Sherman will join us at the bottom of the hour. Point to come on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Just past 8 o'clock this morning. Appreciate you watching us on YouTube. If you're there, listening, of course, on 1620 The Zone or 1620thezone.com. Welcome to the off season of college football, everybody. Like I said at the top of the show, if we have, some of us have been here for a couple months, and Indiana and Miami are the last to join the party after last night when Indiana won the national championship. We came off of a great weekend of football in the NFL. We have another one coming up. This NFC championship game. Did you see this, by the way? The NFC championship game is featuring the two teams. I'll rephrase this. This is from Aaron Schatz, who is a frequent guest on the afternoon show, by the way. The NFC Championship game is essentially the best NFL matchup of the last 47 years. It is the seventh playoff game between two teams over 30% DVOA, and this matchup is 41.2% to 39.9%, whatever they get there. So it's the highest combined DVOA game by quite a significant margin in NFL playoff history, which is sort of fascinating. So that one's going to be really good.
I obviously have my own other reasons for not wanting the Bears to advance. Mainly to get a third game between two teams that have played two outstanding first games. And not outstanding as in there weren't flaws or mistakes or whatever, but incredibly dramatic where Seattle misses a field goal and they're down by 2, I think. They lose by 2. And then, of course, everything that happened in that Thursday nighter that resulted in Seattle winning that one. So, I mean, just getting this game and then having it in the Seattle environment.
They already played basically the game of the season. They're going to do it again.
The expectation that the third one will live up to this level, it probably won't because these things never seem to. But these are two legitimately great teams that are playing on Sunday, and it's should be a ton of fun.
So maybe one of those coaches will decide to, throw caution to the wind and just go for it on fourth down every time. I'm curious what sparked this thought in your mind, Schaefer, about set up the topic for us. So,
yeah, okay.
What I have here is, can a coach win a Super Bowl if they are just going for it on fourth down all the time? Where did this come from?
This comes from the general idea that, especially under Dan Campbell, the Lions are famously aggressive and going for it rather than punting when they're facing fourth and shorts. And we saw them do it this year where they were going for it, inside their own territory. I didn't look up what total percentage of times they went for it and what that overall was in the regular season. But Dan Campbell has earned this reputation as being very aggressive. They pass up on field goals often to go for it because touchdowns. I mean, in the NFL, generally, you want touchdowns. You don't want field goals. However, in the regular season, that is one thing. In the playoffs, when the games feel like they're condensed and usually are coming down to needing, a smaller amount of points are more than likely going to be scored in a playoff game because you're playing better quality team, yada, yada, yada. The possessions are usually shortened because time of possession is usually heightened per possession, all of this stuff. So there's less opportunities to score. So in theory, scoring more touchdowns, even more valuable. Not scoring at all, even more devastating.
Yep.
Giving up field position, even more horrific. So it all comes back to this. We saw 2 years ago that the Detroit Lions famously had an opportunity to make it a 3-score game out in Levi Stadium against the San Francisco 49ers, and Dan Campbell passed up doing so. And they went for it. They didn't get it. And San Francisco comes back. They ultimately end up winning that game. How do things play out differently? If you make the field goal, it's a 17-point game. It's a 3 scores, maximizes those possessions, plus the amount of times that you have the ball and you can run clock off. Big debate at the time. You have the analytics people that are like, the numbers say this.
Yeah, it's like the foul up 3 thing,
And my whole thing comes down to when you have an opportunity to force an extra possession to extend the game in your lead, however you want to phrase that. I mean, kind of fumbled through that, extend the game in your lead, but you know what I mean. Like, you force a team to have to possess the ball one more time in the second half. That is a huge deal.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple times I especially thought about this a lot in the Texans Patriots game over the weekend, because with every mind-boggling turnover that CJ Stroud did, I just thought, well, this game's over. Well, this game's over. Well, this game's over.
But it never really was.
It never really was. The Houston defense kept coming back and making stops. Like, all right, it's I think it was 17-10 or 16-10 or whatever it was. I'm like, oh, they threw a pick. I mean, come on, they're going to extend the lead and it's over. It's not as automatic that they score, especially in the playoffs with weather and great defenses that we have right now. So that's a factor. I think it's the same thing, the same type of thing sort of applies to college football with maybe a little bit of a less rigid, like it's theoretically a little bit more likely that somebody can get loose and make a play in the last couple minutes of college football games. But you have to play a little bit different in the postseason. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Yeah, and so famously, Detroit loses that. They don't go to the Super Bowl. We don't have to feel good for the city of Detroit, despite being told over and over that we should. And naturally, I rejected that.
Hilarious.
Believe it or not, if you could. You get into the 2025, the Lions take on the Commanders, end up just getting waxed. Like, this isn't really a thing there. Ben Johnson, however, in 2025, after the Lions are bounced from the playoffs, becomes the Bears head coach. Ben Johnson has this strategy with the Bears. They go for it a lot on fourth down. They get into the playoffs. Now, Joey, if you want to cover your ears here, this might be a good opportunity to do so. The Packers built their lead in the first half of that game thanks to a lot of Bears going for it in their own territory and not getting it. So the Packers, given short field, given an opportunity to score, given an opportunity to expand their lead. Now, the Bears did what they did in the second half. Caleb Williams did what he did in the fourth quarter. They famously picked up that fourth down where he's just rolling out and heaves it up. And there's, was that Adunze who caught that one for them?
I believe so.
In the Packers game on the 4th and 12.
Either him or Moore with a trailing Keyshawn Nixon.
Yeah.
you see that all season.
When I saw that highlight, remembering how you talked about him last week, I was like, oh man, that's just only going to burn Joey Moore every time he sees that. Anyways, not the ultimate point, but in that game, I believe they were like 2 of 5 going for it on fourth down, 2 of 6, something like that. Not great. I mean, multiple possessions that just end where you're getting nothing out of it, likely giving up field position or passing up points. They won the game, so they escaped their own, situation of their own making. You get to the game against LA. And very early in the game, they have an opportunity. First, they have the interception on the very first possession where they're driving. They have the opportunity to score. Later on, they have an opportunity to kick a field goal on a 4th and short. They elect to go for it. They don't get it. They don't, in theory, add to their point total. They don't give up points because LA is struggling, and the Bears defense is playing great that day. You get to the end of the game, and you get the miraculous touchdown, and instead of being up because you just scored, you had given up those points earlier. So I went and looked at it. The Bears were 5 for 12 on fourth down in 2 games this year. Multiple times they were both in their own territory.
I was going to say, I wonder how many times they were in field goal range.
Like, I haven't gone through because I would need a little bit more time to actually think about it. I haven't gone through and figured out how many points directly were affected by this one way or the other. And that's assuming someone makes a field goal, right? Because that's the other thing.
But also it could be if you go for it in your own territory, which coaches are more apt to do now, you're probably immediately giving up points coming back the other way.
And so I should have went and done that, but I just wonder, can a coach win this way in the playoffs against these types of teams in these environments? Because coaches that are really good, like Sean McVay's a really good coach. He's conservative when it comes to fourth downs a lot of the time, not all the time. And I think they went for a couple notable ones at some point in time. I have to go look this up as to exactly when it. They had the fourth down play where I think they ran it with Puka Nacua in plus territory. So it's not like it's an every time, he always kicks or he always whatever. But for the most part, Sean McVay a little bit more conservative. Kyle Shanahan a little bit more conservative. Mike McDonald, very conservative. He wants to play through that defense. I just don't think this super, we're always going to go for it no matter where we are on the field, the way that Ben Johnson took it to this year, ultimately is going to wreck you more than it's going to win you a game.
I will say this, though. I do think you have to have an identity. You want to be consistent, right? I want to know if
it's
you're
like blackjack. You're either hit or stay on 16.
Exactly.
You can't just pick at it in the moment.
You kind of have to be, and there's certain situations that obviously change this, but in general, I want to know if you're going to go for it or if you're not going to go for it, or if you're going to kick a field goal, if you're going to punt or whatever it might be. I kind of want to know that about you. We certainly do know that with guys like Dan Campbell, and a lot of the times it ends up biting them because of the points that they're not getting or the points that they're allowing and the field position that they're allowing in the playoff. My argument to this, Schaefer, we go to college last night. I mean, Fernando Mendoza runs in on 4th down.
Yeah, no.
In a game where they're already up by 3. This is to go up by 10 in the national championship game with 6 minutes left in the game, 9 minutes left in the game, or something like that. That was a gutsy call.
Absolutely.
And they could have gone up by 6, which wouldn't have necessarily done anything for them in the 1-score game category. Would have put them up by more than a field goal. But they got it, scored, and went up by 10. And that changed the game. That was the play of the game.
Right.
Outside of the block punt, probably.
Yeah. So it's not an all or nothing discussion, but when you're doing it, and I pulled it up here to fully express what the Bears did. And you're down 14-3, and Chicago kicks off. You get the ball, to the 27, and you get 5 yards on the first 2 plays, and it's 4th and 5 from your own 32, and you're down 11. Is that a time in which going for it makes sense in the second quarter? They didn't get it. Green Bay comes back, scores a touchdown. You're down 21-3. Right before the end of the half, it's 21-3. I get it. You need to make something happen. So that's sort of the argument there as to what you're doing at that point in time. You don't get it again. Now, Joey, cover your ears. Green Bay misses the field goal.
McManus!
So it's one of these things where I just don't think it's going to work out in their favor when you're this aggressive with it.
I think it's probably team.
It's very much context oriented.
It's team specific, right? Yeah. If your thing is we have a good defense and we trust our defense and we're going to play through our defense, then you got to be pretty conservative on the offensive side of the ball, and then situation and time and all that stuff goes into it as well. But I generally agree with what you're saying. I generally agree that in the playoffs, the game changes. And
I think it's more you have to grab points when you can grab points if you're Dan Campbell to go up by 3 scores.
But the point you made was everything, just sort of condenses a little bit. Yep. And you're going up against a good team and the game is going to be close. There's no blowouts. There's no predicted blowouts, I guess, in the playoffs, unless you're playing the Panthers or something like that. But everything kind of gets tight and tight and tight and tight. And so field position is a great way to play and tilt the field in your direction. It matters, even though you're not putting anything on the scoreboard at the moment. You're still tilting the playing field in your favor, like they did in Happy Gilmore 2. Did you see Happy Gilmore 2?
I did see Happy Gilmore 2.
The green, and now they move it around. Yeah. That's basically what you're doing if you punt. Just punt, Dan.
Well, the Lions would have to make the playoffs again to see what Dan Campbell would do in these situations. But the bigger one for the Bears was you just didn't grab the points in the first half and you got nothing for it. And then at the end of the game, you're tying it, and we're having the real debate as to whether you kick the extra point or you go for 2, which if you would have taken those points, obviously you don't know how the rest of the game plays out and how everybody does everything. But there is always sort of that argument of what are you sacrificing if you don't get points here?
I have another situational thing to ask you. Because I was thinking about this over the weekend because it happened in one of the games. If you win the toss in overtime, what are you doing?
Oh, man, I have no idea. It used to be automatic. You want the ball. Now it's if you have a good defense, you can set yourself up with the Bears were set up because they got the Rams off the field right away. And then, Caleb threw that interception and it all flips. But there's maybe an argument to be made if you have a good defense that you do that because you're guaranteed a response no matter what. Even if they go score a touchdown, you get the ball, right?
I thought about this a lot and I racked my brain and I couldn't I think I'm more of a set the tone momentum guy than I am anything else. So I think I want the ball, but most teams are deferring now. Most teams are playing defense first. And the argument to that, I think, is fairly simple and logical. It gives you the ability to operate with 4 downs when you get your offensive possession, right? Because what you have to do. If you are down by a touchdown, you get 4 downs
or
instead
a field
of 3.
goal. Yeah.
If you are down by a field goal, you get 4 downs instead of 3. If you are tied, then you have the ability to go
effectively. You have more information at your disposal when you're on offense versus when you start on offense and it's a blank slate.
But I do think there's something to the pressure of going up by 7 on your first possession of overtime.
I mean,
I think there's arguments for both sides.
I love it when you have that opportunity and you have the ball right away to put that immediate pressure on. It's one of the reasons why I'm a big proponent of wanting the football at the very beginning of a game, because if you're an offensive oriented team, you can immediately put pressure on them by scoring right away and being like, this is what we can do.
Right.
Which is famously what I wanted Nebraska football to do to start the year, is go get the ball against Cincinnati, go right down and score and be like, this is Nebraska football.
We are back.
They chose to defer. It ultimately worked in their favor. Whatever, they won the game.
Yeah. But
I totally get where you're coming from. But no, it used to be a very obvious, we want the ball and we're going to win. The Matt Hasselbeck thing. And
we want the ball and we're going to score.
We'll take the ball and we're going to
We'll take the ball. We got there.
Yeah.
And we're going to score.
And now it's become a much, much bigger, context-oriented argument.
So this is another point here from Sam, who tweets at Happer and Schaefer on Twitter. I have no idea, but in the regular season, I wonder if you won it first, because then maybe you get possessions, or and this is the one for me, I think, especially if you're built this way. He says, or you could go on a long 8-minute drive and just screw over the other side, especially in the regular season. And in the postseason, obviously, it becomes a factor too, because you only have that much time to score, but that there's going to be double overtime coming up after that. If you do score, I think that's the way I probably play it, but it is. I mean, there is so much. We could wrap this all together by saying this. There's so much information, and I think there's so much. It's almost like the instant replay thing where you put it in slow motion and you can make yourself see whatever you want. I think you could. There's probably enough data to show the coaches you got a pretty decent chance this will work out for you if you do X, X, and X right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it's sort of paralyzing from a certain perspective. That's what makes it more important that you have an identity.
Merging these two things together, it's a fascinating thought exercise as to what point on the field it's more valuable for you to go for it on 4th down. Because if you punt it, you basically can lose on a field goal at that point. But if you don't get it, you're putting them close to field goal range as it is, though you were already likely in position to lose by punting in the first place.
Also, keep this in mind: the field goal good line, that they superimpose on the TV. I mean, it's further back than it's ever been. We're seeing 60-yard kicks going in the regular now. So there was one that
you wanted Will Lutz to take a 57-yarder, and the Broncos punted.
I did, but obviously, famously, it worked out for them. But
it almost didn't.
It almost didn't.
If Josh Allen hits Dawson
I was
Knox,
amazed. I couldn't believe it. I was like, it's a 57-yard field goal in Denver. Kick it.
If Josh Allen hits Dawson Knox, Bo Nix is not injured, and people are excited about the AFC Championship game.
And yet,
Bo Nix is injured. People aren't as excited about the AFC Championship.
But speaking of programming note of the AFC Championship game, our dear friend Parker Gabriel will join us on Thursday to talk about the Denver Broncos.
What a Thursday.
Cannot wait for that conversation. All right. Cannot wait for this next conversation. Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. He will join us next on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. But first, a word from our friends at Underdog Fantasy. The football playoffs are here. Underdog is the best place to get in on all the gridiron action. You can make picks and win money right now in Nebraska. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick if your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and more. Get those right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. The conversation that we were just having does indeed apply to your Underdog playing weekend here. So think about which coaches like to do what, and that factors into your hires or lowers in those numbers this weekend. So take a look anywhere across the board. You have plenty of options. What are you waiting for? Download the app today. Use promo code HAPPER1620 to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Promo code HAPPER1620. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 19 plus and present in Nebraska. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/playing good terms _DFS_.html for details. Concern with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. All right, bottom of the hour, 8:30 Tuesday morning. Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Mitch, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. A little tired, late night last night, but I'm good. How are you?
You were celebrating along with the Mendozas and Mark Cuban and all the Indiana people?
Yeah, just late is probably a relative term. It was just later than usual. It was after 11 o'clock when I got done watching all the post game celebrations. But what a great story. I was thinking about it after the game, and there have rarely been championship runs that have been that enjoyable to watch as what we saw from Indiana. Just the the unlikely nature of it and the characters involved, and it was refreshing.
All right, so we always try to Nebraska-ize it, so I'll ask you to do so. What's the lesson here for Nebraska? We always do this after anybody wins any national championship. What's the first thought that applies to Nebraska that came to your head last night?
Well, I think the thought through all of Indiana's success over the last 2 years is that often at Nebraska, it seems that it's being made too difficult. That Indiana, that a school with this, that a school like Nebraska, a school in Nebraska's conference that is similarly resourced, can do this if the right people are in place and the right mentality is established and the right focus is maintained. It does, and there's no way to change it. But part of the reason at Indiana, I think that there weren't as many obstacles as you find other places is because it didn't have the history and it didn't have the investment and the buy-in from so many people. There were not people in the way that there might be at many other schools that have the kind of history and investment. Like emotional investment from so many people that like Nebraska does, and that's where Indiana, was able to maybe take advantage of its situation a bit. So the lesson for Nebraska, I'm not sure in the context of that. Maybe it's don't make it too difficult. Like you can, and I'm not talking about winning a national championship, but just don't make it more difficult than it needs to be to just be successful.
Perhaps the lesson for Nebraska could be to invest in running back. Though it doesn't seem like that's something Matt Rule wants to do. Mitch, I went on a bit of a rant yesterday. I don't understand this at all. What are your thoughts on Nebraska's running back room and why Nebraska seems to like what they have so much?
Well, Matt Rule and the offensive coaches, they're the ones who see the players who are going to be in position to run the ball next year. They're the ones who have seen them develop and practice. What we can say is that us here talking right now, we have not seen them because they've played so little. And the small sample size against Utah is certainly not enough to make me believe that they're ready to go and carry Nebraska in the run game in 2026. But we don't really know what they have because it's all a mystery at this point. I don't like the idea of not having anyone in the room who's been there and done that. That's my biggest gripe. Like if you want to tell me as a coach at Nebraska or someone who works with the personnel and manages the roster that Mekhi Nelson and Isaiah Mosey and Quentin Ives and a couple of freshmen for Nebraska are plenty talented to do what the Huskers need in the Big Ten, then that's fine. And it's hard for me to dispute that because I have not seen their talent on display. But I do know what their experience is, and I do know the importance of experience, and that's something that Indiana can teach college football teams too. Like look at the average age and experience on that team, and Nebraska does not have that at running back. And it puzzles me to try to understand why they didn't look harder for somebody who has been there and done that. Perhaps they thought they wouldn't be able to keep the roster intact at that position if they had chosen to go out and try to find somebody who who could bring that experience. And that's I think it would have been worth the risk to at least look a little harder.
Mitch, is there any like information to suggest or things that we have seen to suggest that whether it's people at that position or any other on the roster, like in essence, what you're trying to do is take some unknowns and say, all right, we're going to develop these guys and they're going to get better. How much confidence do you have that somebody from that room that can emerge next year? Given we saw a pretty good season from Emmett Johnson, and then what is that a circumstance of, and all those different things.
Well, I think they have evidence to show that running back is a position in this program that they've been able to take a player and develop him, and they've done it a couple of times. So I think that's a big part of what goes into the thought process here, is that they have a history of being able to turn running backs who were unheralded into very good players. So, I tend to believe that Emmett Johnson is kind of a unicorn, that he's a one-off, and I don't think there's a bunch of potential Emmett Johnsons that are just sitting around on this roster or really any roster. I think a lot of and I don't EJ Barthel, Dana Holgerson, they deserve to some of the credit for what Emmett did, but I think that's a disservice to Emmett to just say that Nebraska made him. Like, he was incredibly motivated, and we got a peek at that at times during his junior season, just like what went into baking the cake that turned out as an All-American season for Emmett. I think it's a rare combination, and it's misguided, I think, to just believe that, well, it worked with Emmett. We followed this formula and developed him, so there's going to be more of that. Like, that's something that's repeatable on any kind of regularity. I don't think it is. I think that history will show and the future will show that Emmett was a rare kind of player.
I don't know that we need the college football championship game or the college football playoffs to necessarily show this, but you kind of look throughout college football and there's guys that go from one school to another in the portal, have a bunch of success, really leave their mark on their new school. Why do you think that we really haven't seen that as much at Nebraska? They haven't had an all-conference player. I don't know that they've had anyone that's really been close to being an all-conference player under Matt Rule that was brought in from the transfer portal. In this era where you can go get what you want and you have money to go and do it, are you surprised that it seems like they've found solid players, but it doesn't feel like Nebraska's found a star in the portal under this staff? I mean, certainly Trey Palmer was that,
right?
But not under Matt Rule's staff, where they sort of found someone that they could kind of hoist up as like this big transfer portal win.
It's an interesting thought. Because I look at the 2025 team and think about where it might have been without the contributions of the players from the portal. And you had about 10 starters who came to Nebraska from the portal. And if Nebraska didn't have success a year ago in bringing in transfers, that it would have been a different team. And there's some star power there. I mean, I think Isaiah Hunter definitely flashed star power for Nebraska this year. And I think a player like Andrew Marshall has the potential to be that before he leaves Nebraska. Sear Wright, definitely had moments like that this year and at times in his junior season. But Mike, I mean, to your point, there's not an All-American. And part of becoming an All-American, I think, is playing for a team that is dominant, is winning. Like, the All-American team or even the All-Conference teams are mostly made up of players from teams that are having more success than what we've seen from Nebraska. And that's a chicken and egg discussion. It's like, are they picked for the team because their teams are winning, or are the teams winning because they have great players? I don't know. I don't think that there is like a one size fits all answer for why Nebraska hasn't found a superstar from the portal. But I also don't think that it's a situation where Nebraska's been striking out over and over. Like, they've done a pretty good job of sizing up the talent that's available and going after it. In a lot of cases, they've swung and missed, but they've gone after very good players, and some of them they've gotten, as is the case with just about everybody in the portal. If you're not Ohio State or Oregon, and you do basically get what you want. But if you're in that second category, which Nebraska's in, you're going to have some hits and you're going to have some misses. You would like to see a home run or two, and I think you're correct in that, like, that basic thought that they have not found that. Maybe they did in somebody this year. Maybe it's Owen Chambliss. Maybe it's Anthony Calandria. Maybe Nebraska in 2026 will find its best score yet out of the portal.
Okay, so perfect lineup to ask you this question, Mitch. Who will be Nebraska's most productive player that they got out of the transfer portal in this cycle? And it's hard to gauge, because the quarterback's going to have stats and, a linebacker might not, but
it's also January 20th.
Right. Well, that's why we're asking the question. Relative to their position, what's your favorite addition for Nebraska out of the portal?
Yeah, give me a week until spring practice starts, and then we start to get some answers. Well, I just told you that I like Chambliss, and I mean the quarterback position is always one. It's going to be what we know about Nebraska at the QB position. I think is that it's going to be bang or bust. Like, it doesn't have to be Jeff Sims, type of bust, but like there's potential on both ends for Calandria. He could be really good and a game-changing kind of piece for Nebraska, or he could take a step back and show some of the turnover tendencies that, Sims is like the worst case scenario, and his turnover numbers were out of this world as far on the negative side, obviously, in Matt Rule's first year, and that kind of just tanked the season as a result. But I don't think it's going to be anything like that with Calandria, because he just has better pieces around him, and Nebraska, frankly, has other options if something like that were to happen. I think, production, like tangible production, like the way to gauge it in terms of numbers. There's not a running back there. I think Quasi Gilmer is gonna be splitting time. Like, he's not a like clear wide receiver one when you have Barney and Hunter and some others at that wide receiver spot. So I don't think he's going to have the numbers to say, like, all right, this was Nebraska's most productive player out of the portal. It'll probably be Calandria, but I like what Chambliss can bring on the defensive side. And if you're gauging productivity in another way, that just value to the team, I think you can look at some of the pieces on the offensive line too. Maybe the offensive linemen collectively as a group could be Nebraska's best add in the portal this year, because I think they really shore things up. Like, you went into the offseason after the bowl game and thought, oh, look at what the offensive line is right now with the returning players. And not only did Nebraska retain the two starters who could have gone into the portal, they also added 3 potential starters, like 3 likely starters. And I think they made big gains there. And we may look back a year from now and say Nebraska did its best work in 2025-6, the portal cycle, by adding the offensive lineman that it did.
I asked this at brunch yesterday. I'll phrase it a little bit different for you here today. Who are you most surprised that you're still covering at Nebraska, as in they didn't go into the portal?
I thought they'd lose a wide receiver. So I don't like to single out a player and say I expected this player to transfer.
Barney. Everybody thought it was going to be Barney.
A lot of people thought Hunter too. So I get where Mitch is coming out with it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, Barney or Hunter, but yeah, I don't know what's going on in their world, and I also don't know what kind of re-up offer they received. But yeah, just taking it down to a bare bones level and looking at the situation after the bowl game and not taking into account the things that I don't know, I expected they would lose one of those 2 players. Like, Isaiah Hunter probably could have commanded some pretty big offers on the open market. And, the same thing with Barney. And it's interesting that the core of Nebraska's Miami connection from that first recruiting class for Matt Rule, and you're talking about Barney and Shavers and McGahee, who did go in the portal and came back. and so did Larry Tarver, and then also Amari Sanders. It's really interesting to look at it and say that all of those guys are still at Nebraska. I mean, you would just think that the odds in college football that at least a couple of them would have transferred at this point. And I don't know if that's a product of, I assume some of it is a product of Nebraska having Phil Simpson on staff, who was instrumental in bringing that group together in Lincoln. But the fact that they're all still here, like that I wouldn't have foreseen that at this point, and I wouldn't have foreseen it a month ago.
All right, Mitch, we will let you go. Always appreciate you stopping by. And now we're off into the rest of the offseason. See you later.
The dark days. All right, take care, guys. Thanks.
Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. I've been told that there might be some basketball coverage on The Athletic that people around here might be interested in this week.
Ooh.
So keep an eye out for that.
All right.
Keep an eye out for that. And you could also find Mitch on the Locked On Nebraska podcast, which is a podcast.
And we can find you there too.
You might. I don't know. You could.
Are you normally there?
I'm on it every day. So yeah. Find a way. All right, we'll be back. Round out the hour. Don't forget we have a concert announcement. And don't forget the key word. Do people remember the key word that they have to call Joey with at 9 o'clock?
I remember.
All right, that's good.
I'll have it displayed as a reminder.
You're going to display it? You can't tell people. It's a secret. It's a secret word.
Well, we'll do it. I'll show
afterwards.
Afterwards. Yeah.
All right, back into this on 1620 The Zone. All right, don't forget concert announcement coming up in just a few minutes. Also, don't forget our dear friend Johnny Fanta joins the show in just a little over 20 minutes. There will be Nebraska ball talked about. Mike Schaefer tries to jump back in the YouTube here.
The StreamYard really mad at
I
me.
think you got a computer situation. You got a full reboot situation going on over there. That would be my personal opinion. Because it ain't working for you.
It just won't bring up.
It ain't working for you, partner.
I don't understand.
You got to go with the old turn off, turn back on method, I think. But
You have to
worry about it later.
Yeah, this isn't great. Not great.
I have a question for you. I have two things that I want to hit here in this segment before we get to our concert announcement. What do you think? So Indiana just won a national championship in football. What do you think Tom Allen is doing today? And / will Tom Allen, can Tom Allen come back? Because Tom Allen was a historically really good coach at Indiana. At the time when they fired Tom Allen, was like, ooh, I don't know. Can they do much better than that? They did.
Turns out.
But could they, when they do the national championship parade and the honors and all that stuff, does Tom Allen come with and say, hey, remember me too?
It's kind of wild when you think about it. Just 2 years ago, former Indiana quarterback Michael Penix was playing in the national championship game as well.
Yeah.
They've just been all over this thing. Tom Allen, Michael Penix, a little bit too soon.
I think you got to bring him back.
For Indiana.
I think you got to bring him back and put him on a float or something like that and make him wave.
They have a historical float.
This
is who we were.
Exactly. Lee Corso's on there.
And it's in a sad car. And then the next one's the really souped up nice float. This is who we are.
So same thing with Nebraska ball's impending parade.
Oh man. So they're going to
Tim Miles comes back and I think he would love to.
I could see Tim Miles actually being okay with doing this.
Tim Miles comes back. He hammers beers with people. And he's like, I'm just so happy.
Famously a beer hammerer.
It's, sometimes you're the guy before the guy. And in those two cases, I think that was probably happening. Tom Allen handshake meme, Tim Miles.
Would you rather who's the better coach in that scenario? Tim Miles for getting Nebraska to a tournament game? Tom Allen for beating Indiana in the COVID year?
Tom Allen?
Not beating Indiana, beating Penn State with Michael Penix.
Didn't they win 9 games with Tom Allen?
Yeah, they had a 8 or 9 win season the COVID year.
Or it was 8-5 or something that.
Well, they didn't play that many games. Remember, there was he
had another good season.
There was a thought, oh, well, that's true. I was thinking of the COVID year because there was a thought that Indiana should represent in the Big Ten over Ohio State because Ohio State was going to lose the Michigan game to COVID, which would have, under the rules, disqualified them for being in the Big Ten title.
Tom Allen, over 2 years, 19 and 20, went 14 and 7 at Indiana.
It's pretty good.
Which it would probably have been the greatest 2-year run in Indiana history.
Until someone came along and smashed that to
They
pieces.
got up to number 12 in the AP poll in the year of our Lord 2020.
Yeah. You remember
Tim
that
Miles
opening
got him
game?
Pretty close to that.
Do you remember that game at all?
The Penn State one where Penix flipped into the end zone?
Well, he had the dive and it just barely nudged
and
the perfect picture where you can see no part of him's on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a horrible year it was for Penn State football in 2020. And they probably
lost to
thought
Nebraska.
It's never going to be that bad again. And then they fired James Franklin in October. They actually turned things around a little bit.
By the way, I just got this text. This is good. So we've been doing this parallel world where Indiana football and Nebraska basketball are like the corollaries. In the inverse world where Indiana basketball is Nebraska football, Tom Crean is Bo Pelini.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm pretty sure is right.
Wow.
That's almost exactly right. That's exactly right.
Well, and now they have DeVries, right? Or DeVries?
Yeah.
DeVries?
Yeah.
Which is probably one of the better hires that they've had recently.
Oh, it's a great hire, yeah.
I mean, relative to, what was it, Archie Miller, Mike Woodson?
Could have gone better with those two, probably, yeah.
The Mike Woodson one was very much out of left field.
Always weird.
Yeah.
Always weird. By the way, Chris writes in poll question: do you wonder what Tom Allen is doing today? I don't know. I kind of do.
I think
it's the reason why
there's a
brought it
fair
up.
amount of people that would hit yes on that.
Do you wonder what Tom Allen is doing today? Oh, also one more thing. This won't be a daily segment, but it's something that I feel like we need to talk about. It is Darren Rovell's WTF tweet of the day. Are you ready for Darren Rovell's WTF tweet of the day? This is yesterday. He tweeted this. 11-year-old son wanted to bet. So instead of saying no, which is not the answer, I set him up with a free-to-play app. I've been monitoring his bets and talking to him about his losses. I looked on the app today to find this, and it's a screenshot of something that his son bet on, which was Giannis Antetokounmpo scratching his nether regions at 5 times the money. There are so many problems with this tweet from Darren Rovell. What is the thing that hits your brain first, Schaefer?
Well, one, like, where are you setting up your son for betting?
Why isn't no the answer? I don't get it.
Yeah.
If the 11-year-old son wants to bet, why don't you just say no?
Or if you're going to let him bet, then he bets with you in a very controlled environment to do it.
And not in this very weird polymarket crap, whatever the hell, it's betting on Giannis to scratch himself. That is the worst possible answer.
Yeah,
I'm a very new parent, but I don't think that is a great idea.
You don't think your young child will have access to the futures market?
It's hard to
even
tell.
If you know Matt McFutures.
But I hope I would come up with a better answer than, sure, why don't you do this weird Kalshi polymarket thing and bet on Giannis to scratch himself? That is the wrong answer, Darren. That is the wrong answer.
And then tweet about it.
Then tweet about it to your millions
Which
of followers.
then Mikers now is able to put into my universe because I don't even follow Darren Rovell.
I'm sorry. You had to see it. I had to see it.
No, well, look, I saw it. Like I said, your former co-host was all over.
Charles says, getting my 11-year-old a Kalshi account. Blackhead says, Sophie Happer, futures queen.
I mean,
she would love to bet on what happens next in Moana.
You think she would probably know by now?
She 100% knows. She knows exactly what's happening. She loves the little pig that goes around in Moana.
Oh, okay.
She absolutely loves Moana. I've seen Moana 40 times.
I haven't seen it once.
There's a lot going on. We'll take a quick break. We will have time for a phone call, but after we announce a concert coming to the area, we'll do that when we return on 1620 The Zone. I have a concert announcement. Welcome back. 9 o'clock hour. Happer and Schaefer here at 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Coming up on Sunday, May 17th at the Astro. Just announced on our social media at 1620 The Zone on Twitter. It will be George Thorogood and the Destroyers with Marshall Tucker Band in the Metro, May 17th at the Astro. Pre-sale on Thursday at 10 using the pre-sale code ZONE. And tickets will go on sale to the general public on Friday. Unsportsmanlike Conduct will have some tickets over the next couple of days to this awesome concert. And we have them right now. When you call Joey at 402-951-1620 and use the keyword that we said earlier, shout the keyword into his ear, and you're going to the just announced George Thorogood and the Destroyers with Marshall Tucker Band concert in May.
One last hint: the keyword was shouted multiple times yesterday.
It was on a from about 9:45 to 10:15, in that range. Also, it was mentioned earlier on the show today. Bad to the Bone. George Thorogood. Who do you love?
You can't see a fish on a wall and not think Bad to the Bone.
They will be rocking at the Astro on May the 17th. So looks like Joey's already in the process of finding a winner. We certainly appreciate you all listening. And once again, stay tuned on Sportsmanlike Conduct. We'll have some tickets this week. John Fanta is coming up here in just a couple minutes. We got to talk some basketball with him. But let's go to the phones on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Here is Rich. Rich, good morning. What's going on?
Gentlemen.
What's up?
Congratulations on your guys' new show.
Oh, thank you.
The Schaefer and Happer show. And the reason why I did that is because right now Schaefer is number one in the state. Like I say, it's a red state, and you got to accept it.
Okay, I got you.
I like it.
And it's okay. It's okay. I'm a Jay supporter, and I've been for things. We're like the Chiefs. We've had a lot of good runs, but guess what? Now we're almost back to the Rick Johnson situation for at least a year, and it's not good.
Yeah,
like I say, leadership. You guys are both leaders, and that you're a leader in your industry, and I have to tip my hat to you on all that. I hope you nothing but success. But the situation is this: they have just woken up a giant. They have woken up a team that basically just might not lose. They might not lose the rest of the season. When I saw the ratings yesterday, I said, they'll probably be in the top 5. Things are good, all that kind of stuff. You got to respect, undefeated, looks good, beating everybody by a million points. So they'll get top 5. 7? Come on, man. The national media, the coaches, they all got special needs. Because I tell you right now, if you can't see that Nebraska is ranked in the top 5, then you got some serious grandpa's cough syrup in your system. Because I tell you right now, you got a team that now just woke up and they're pissed. They're pissed. In fact, they might win every game and just win by 15 or 20 points. I'm not a Husker fan, but you know what? When you look at this whole situation and you say, okay, all right, give us our due, and they didn't. So you know what? I would be very scared of the rest of the Big Ten because you got a team that knows how to shoot, knows how to win, and knows how to have leadership. And I'm telling you right now, with the Red the way they are, I might have to jump on a little bandwagon board, if you know what I mean. You guys have a good one.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate it. I don't know how he's not a Husker fan with that.
Yeah, there's so much energy there. Just bursting out of that call. I loved it.
Dropping in the Rick Johnson great stuff. And he's like, I'm not a Husker fan, but come on, you pissed him off. This is the best team in the country.
He's probably not going to appreciate this, but my general sense is I don't think they care what they're ranked over there.
100%
which is
agree.
amazing to me.
Yes.
Because it's like, oh man, imagine being part of the team that's the highest ranked Nebraska team of all time and all of this sort of stuff. And it's like,
they're like, I think we're just going to play possession by
possession. Rick
possession.
Mass is like, that's nice.
Yeah, it was like, I'm really sweaty.
we're going to play Washington. Do you want to ask me about Washington?
I just like to play basketball. I think I'm going to do that some more. I don't really care where we're ranked. I don't know.
And then you got Sanford, who's like, I just want to shoot threes.
Like, I do think there is some behind the scenes stuff for Fred where like he does push the buttons like when he sees an opportunity to push the buttons with this group, but they don't need to be motivated.
I think it's very much in the sense of like, hey, people still aren't buying in, and that's fine. This is an opportunity for you to continue to show why they're making the mistake. But we don't care about that. We care about us. We care about what we're going to do on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever night that they're playing.
They're pretty sure they're going to be 20-0. Pretty confident.
I don't know.
You've expressed concern at every turn.
I feel good about
which is how you know that you're a real Nebraska ball fan. If you're like, I don't think this is real, guys. I don't believe in this.
They have lost to worse Minnesota teams on the road.
God, yeah.
So
but this ain't that.
Just saying, they're going to have to go up to Minnesota on Saturday and go win that game on the road, and they're going to have to be men to do it. I feel pretty good about Washington. Though Washington has a potential lottery pick.
They do
as well on their team. So I mean, the conference is tough, and you watch around the league. Like, this is again unusual territory for Nebraska to be in. You look around the rest of the country, and Iowa State dropped 2 games that you weren't really expecting. And I mean,
it happens. They're going to
losing to Kansas is losing to Kansas.
I'm pretty sure that they're going to lose a game.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that they're going to lose at least.
You just don't think it happens before they play Michigan.
Correct.
And then if they play Michigan, who knows if it even happens then?
I would say all bets are off.
Yeah,
at that point.
Look, I very much want to live in a world in which the Michigan-Nebraska game is like massively big in terms of college basketball.
All I know is when they win 20 games in a row, which I mean, I guess they've already won 20 games in a row going back to the Crown, but when they go 20-0, we're just going to make a lot of Moneyball references. That's what we're going to do on this show. So get prepared for that next week.
So who is Nebraska basketball Scott Hatteberg?
Bear K? Sort of like a misfit. Like I don't really know.
Did you see there's a quote where Bear K referred to the Husker Power chant as Red Power?
Red Power. So good.
And I don't know if his brain crossed up Red Kingdom
with
Husker Power, or he's just on the court. He hears Red Power. I have no idea.
Just amazing.
But reading that was incredible.
All right, quick timeout. More on hoops with our dear friend John Fanta, who I believe will see the Michigan Wolverines tonight in person.
Yeah, he's got Michigan, Indiana.
Fanta will join us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. More of Happer and Schaefer here at 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. We are efforting our dear friend Johnny Fanta right now, so we'll keep an eye on that. But he's a very, 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 very busy man, and you know, if it goes to voicemail right away, you're like, okay, well, he's probably doing something. So we'll see if he gives us a call back here momentarily. But I was excited to talk hoops, and I thought Rich's call about the basketball being angry and you know, they're gonna have some fire lit under their butts because they were only ranked number 7 in the polls was a perfect little segue into a basketball conversation. But we could still talk about it.
Will they have more fire if Fanta isn't here to talk about?
You just
basketball?
lose a little bit when you know. You get energy when you talk to Johnny Fanta about basketball, and then you're like, oh man, you know. So we'll get connected with him at some point. By the way, our dear friend Platt Cat writes in on YouTube, Fanta and Happer, my 2 favorite Red Panda bowl tossers, chumming it up. That's true. We both did that. Have you ever tossed bowls to Red Panda?
I have not.
I didn't think so.
I have not. My first ever experiencing Red Panda was when I was in college at a Nebraska-Arizona State game at the Bob Devaney Center. I was very hungover, but still managed to make like the 11 a.m. tip or whatever it was.
Great job by you.
This non-conference game. And I assume it was just sort of being like in that phase of hungover / still drunk. It was the most amazing thing I had ever seen. I was just sitting there with like 3 of my friends, and we were all just like doing the, can you believe this?
For a long time, for starting about that period of time, going till about 20, probably, I don't know, right after COVID, like through COVID, I never saw her drop a bowl. And then I will never forget the first time I saw her drop a bowl.
Yeah,
it was at Pinnacle Bank Arena at a women's game, you know, a few years ago, and I thought, what have I just seen? Like, I don't think I was supposed to watch that.
Well, and then there's the people that, for whatever reason, seem to take glee in it, and then they post it on Twitter, and they want you to just feel like this is acceptable.
If you knew my dear friend Red Panda, you know how hard she takes it when she drops bulls. She feels as if she has shamed herself and her profession and all of these different things. And she wants to stay out there on the court as long as she possibly can to complete the 5 bull flip. But she can't. She's only allotted so much time.
And we don't need to bask in things that didn't go well when people are challenging themselves to do extremely difficult tasks.
No, we do not. Anyway, we'll see if he gives us a call back. If not, we'll connect at some point with our dear friend Johnny Fanta. I have an NIL question for you.
Oh, here we go.
This, I promise you, this is not related to anything that's going on around here. I just thought of the question yesterday, and I wanted to bounce it off you. Do you think it's happening at all where coaches don't go out and aggressively pursue people at a position of need or something like that, at least in some part, because they have the safety net of being able to say at the end of it, well, we couldn't pay for that person. We didn't have enough money. It is sort of applicable to a couple things that Matt Rule said about the running back position over the last couple of days. I promise you that is not in mind when I talk about this.
The general idea, though, I understand what you're saying. Like, we're not even going to try on this because if nothing else, we can just sort of cite, hey, we had no chance anyway.
And the explanation is right. Like, hey, we only had so much money to go around, and we wanted to spend it in other positions, and that's the story. That's what happened here.
I mean,
do you feel like that's because we don't know how much NIL money there is to go around, and we certainly don't know how much they're spending at whatever position. So like, there's just no, and there's a lot of other things that are going on in terms of other players and other offers and things like that. So it's just a really murky situation that we don't know the truth on. And so you could always come back at the end of it and say, well, yeah, I mean, we only had so much money. And that in turn works for you as a coach, because then it becomes a plea to your donors and your fan base to say, well, if you don't want this to happen again, it's easy. You can let it not happen again. Just give us more money.
But it also becomes a conversation of, well, why didn't you allocate your money better to avoid having this happen if this was a priority for you? Or is it not really
or is it not a priority for you?
So that would be part of that conversation. But to the larger question that you're asking, I think the answer to that is yes. And the reason why is in a previous professional life, having covered recruiting, there were definitely coaches that would sort of hide behind the idea of like, I'm not even going to try to recruit that player because how would we get him anyway? Which is a really defeatist way to look at what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it, one specific example, I don't want to get too into the weeds on it.
Sure.
There was just a coach that was more than willing to take players that he knew were not of the caliber that he needed to win, but didn't want to pursue the players that he thought he needed because he felt like it would be a waste of time, which puts you in the weird spot of what are you doing with your job if you acknowledge that they're not good enough, but you can get them, so you get them.
There's a lot of coaches who I would think, they don't do it in a certain way because they're having a hard time adjusting, I think, to this era as well. Saban said something that wasn't a joke several months ago that is sticking with me in this moment. He said something along the lines of, some people just don't believe in this stuff. Some people just don't want to do it. They don't want to play. They might act like they're playing the game, whether we're talking about coaches, donor bases, fan bases, stuff like that. Like some people, and I think it's had an effect, especially on SEC teams who, and I'm talking about programs and fan bases and donor bases and all this stuff, who have been doing it one way for so long and have this sort of almost entitlement and this expectation of like, oh, they're going to come here because it's Alabama. They're going to come here because it's LSU. They're going to come here because it's Georgia, and they're not anymore.
Yeah.
And that's different. And that's what he's saying when he says, some people just don't believe in this stuff. You better believe. You better start believing.
Yeah, look, if you don't think that it can adversely affect your program, you've already lost. Like it is here. It's here to stay, and you have to figure out how you're going to win in that environment, whatever it is. And you have to find your edge. You have to find, whatever it is that's the market inefficiency. When you made the reference to Nebraska basketball and Moneyball, I mean, some of it is you have to figure out what it is that we can do here that gives us a chance to compete no matter what kind of roster we have. Down in Lincoln, it is the defensive intensity of which they play with, and that is what is sort of built around, and then you add in the shooting element and the offensive pieces, but it feels very much that Fred Hoiberg is making his bones at Nebraska, not by just outscoring teams in the way that they would have at Iowa State, but through this defensive system that Nate Lenzer has crafted and that they have largely perfected. And they have found individual pieces, whether it be the length of Price Sanford that makes it difficult to throw those skip passes, whether it's the dogged tenacity of Sam Hoiberg that he's just going to be a menace when you are on the offensive end. These are not guys that if they went into the portal that are just going to command a bag because of everything else, but they fit perfectly with what you're doing, and then you continue to build around it. So, I mean, you have to address this one way or another because this is the era of which you're in. And it's no different than when it wasn't this era and you had to do things.
But you also don't want it to be the thing either. Like to your point, just then, like you have to have something.
The pieces have to fit. It all has to matter. It's not just like
that's what's working in Indiana. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's going to be a lot of people talking about Cuban and all the money that has just sort of come to life for them as a basketball powerhouse that is transitioning to a football powerhouse. Like that's totally a real thing. But it happened in such an organic way where they got good at football first. And then all the other stuff, it's like, all right, how do we sustain being good at football?
Yeah.
That's how you sustain being good at football. But you have to be good at football first.
And you have to have the ideas of what it is that you want to do, and then you want to empower the players that are around to do it. Because when you have an Elijah Surratt, you need to be able to utilize him in a way that he's going to be effective. And not every quarterback that you could have gotten in the portal would have been able to do the same thing that Mendoza did for Indiana this year. So it's identification of who these people are, and then it's putting them in the spots to be successful, and then doing that over and over across the totality of your team. I mean, that's effectively what you're trying to do there. So I look at what Indiana has done, and it is a combination of a system that he has and a style mixed with just being very, very good at identifying this is a fit. This is a fit. We can do this with this player. We don't want that player, because that's the other thing that's now with Indiana is they're going to have so much interest. It's going to be identifying, yeah, that's not what we want. We don't want that. And that's sometimes a burden, sometimes a luxury of being the really in-demand place. You get to say no. Other places you have to say yes all the time.
Exactly.
You're desperate for it. You need the Maurice Washingtons because you want the lift that it comes with it, even if you know that there's some concern that's going to come with it too.
Let's take a time out here. So I just connected with Fanta, so we'll try and get with him after the break here. So we'll end the show with a conversation with John. So we still get our Friday energy boost, which is fantastic. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone.
You caught up.
All right, football's over. Basketball is here. We have several good games tonight, one of which John Fanta, our next guest on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline, will be in attendance. You're at Michigan tonight. Is this correct?
Yes, in Ann Arbor. Great to be with you guys for Michigan and Indiana. Indiana is squarely on that bubble now with no quad one wins, so they could use it in the worst way. And Michigan obviously looks as good as anybody in the country, but so do the Nebraska Cornhuskers, fellas.
They sure do. Which, by the way, we are headed toward a colossal battle here in just a couple days worth of time with Michigan and Nebraska getting together next week. But I mean, we just got done watching Indiana win a football national championship. Does your mind all of a sudden open up to Nebraska basketball doing something close to the same?
Well, absolutely. Anything's possible. And, you know, you guys think about it. Nebraska's got tremendous experience, which is what Indiana possessed. They've got a coach who I think can draw up things within the game and manage a game with the best of them in Fred Hoiberg. They've got a fan base that's beyond passionate. I mean, let's put it this way. See a world where Nebraska is in the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. That fan base will go anywhere. And, you know, from that point on, could you, I'm just saying, dream of Nebraska being an Elite Eight or a Final Four? Everything's possible. You know, Nebraska's going to have the crowd advantage because when you have never won a tournament game and then you were to make a run, your fan base is beyond hungry to do it, to climb the mountain. And, you know, if I'm Mario Cristobal this morning, I'm ticked off. And I'm calling up my external people, and I mean, I'm sure he's doing it already. And I'm saying, how the hell was I playing a road game at home last night?
Yeah.
So Nebraska's got the perfect setup. You know, they're a really efficient team that doesn't make mistakes. They could shoot the ball at a high level, which is something you have got to make threes against Michigan. Michigan has the best 2-point defense in the country. So next week, it's paramount that Price Sanford, you know, that Rink Mass can knock down some shots with Jamarcus Lawrence, who's shooting close to 39% from three, can get it cooking. That's what makes Nebraska so dangerous, guys, is they've got veterans and they've got a lot of shot making.
What, I guess maybe it's more of a who on this Nebraska team has maybe surprised you the most with how they've elevated their play this year to allow for Nebraska to be undefeated at this point in the season at 18-0?
I would just say, when I look at a Price Sanford, I thought he'd be a solid player. But let's remember, last year he averaged about 9 points a game. So he's about doubled that production. And sometimes you just need an opportunity. But, you know, I think we all thought that he would play a role. But for him to be shooting 48% from the floor, 41% from three, it's hard to keep the same efficiency and then double your productivity on the floor. And it's just pretty clear that Price has totally fit into the system really well. You know, you just look at his last two games. I mean, his last two games, he's combined for 50 points. So he's really feeling it right now. He's playing at a very high level. I've been impressed with him. You know, I've been impressed with Lawrence and his ability to make plays for this team. And then I just, Sam Hoiberg, you know, it doesn't surprise me at all. But, you know, this is a guy who has steadily gotten better. And let's look at his productivity. He's doubled everything. You know, he's not some 15, 16 point per game scorer, but he went from basically averaging a bucket or two a game to now being a pretty steady hand. And oh, by the way, this is by far the most assists per game that he's racked up. He's become a better distributor of the basketball, better at making plays for others, and his shot-making percentages are the best that they have been. So I've been impressed with Sam and his ability to grow as a player, because I think that's exactly what he's done. And then, you know, I can't say enough about, I didn't know what to think of a guy like Braden Frazier and what he would be able to supply. And the freshman has been an X factor for this team off the bench. I mean, he has really come into games and made a difference, as we've seen the last two games as well, as he's combined for 43 points. and he's a freshman. So credit to Braden for coming in this program and performing at a big-time level. They've got depth. They've got balance. They answer every question. And the dream is alive in Lincoln. Believe it, Husker fans. For those, I know you're all believing it. Now the country is seeing why Nebraska basketball is here to stay.
Yeah, everybody, I feel like every single game they play, a new person finds out about Nebraska and sort of what they're doing. So John Fanta is with us, NBC Sports, lot of Big East. We'll talk about the Big East in a second. And obviously a lot of Big Ten, including tonight with Indiana and Michigan. As you look at the conference as a whole, John, I mean, Purdue, Nebraska, Michigan, Illinois, is that the top tier? What does the Big Ten as a whole look like to you this year, especially when you compare it to some of its previous years when it's been a really, really deep conference? Is it that this year?
It is. It's at the top. It is. There is a drop off. There is. I still think that it can be a league that can get 10 teams to the NCAA tournament. So you get 10 teams to the NCAA tournament, you've got depth. I think at the top, this is the conference. This is as good of a shot as any for the league to snap its 26-year national title drought. I mean, at the top, I go Michigan. I certainly go Purdue. Nebraska's right there. Michigan State and Illinois. It's very difficult to leave one of those out. If you were to exclude one of them, I guess I would say Illinois, mainly because I guess they have 3 losses, and there's times where they can have some lapses defensively. I'm nitpicking, but I'll tell you what, their talent is a tier A talent because Stojakovic has come in and given them, a shot maker. The Ivicic brothers are really dangerous and tough and physical. And Keaton Wagler's been as surprising a freshman as I've seen in a long time. He and Kylan Boswell are terrific together. I didn't even bring up Mirkovic. I mean, Brad Underwood's done a terrific job with that roster. But yeah, there's a really strong top of the league. This is the strongest the top of the league has been, I think, in some time. When we're not bringing up Michigan State as one of the first 3, and Michigan State's 10th in KenPom, that sums it up how good this league is. And by the way, Jeremy Fears and Cohen Carr want to have a word. Tom Izzo's team. I don't want to play them. They're going to make the second weekend. I'm calling it right now. I mean, if you're filling out a bracket this March, just put Michigan State in the Sweet 16 because this team is so physical and so good and so well coached that I think that they're going to be able to have staying power in the NCAA. There's a bit of a drop off. Iowa's a dark horse in this league because of Bennett Sturts and because of Banks, who makes some good plays for them. And I really like the way that they play. They take the shot clock down, so their style's conducive to being dangerous. But then, yeah, you go from there, and there's definitely a bit of a mystery in the league because Indiana doesn't have enough quality to their resume. Ohio State is starting to pick up steam. I like what they're doing, and so is Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin's been a different team the last couple of weeks than they were the prior. UCLA has struggled. They've struggled. And USC, I'm still uncertain of. But the West Coast teams, with the exception of Oregon, they're still really tough out. And this league is, Maryland, Penn State, and Rutgers, they're all down. But the top of the league, I actually think sometimes, guys, this might come off as a bit of a hot take, but hear me out on this. It's okay to have a bottom. It's okay to have some rough teams in the league. It's okay in a league to say, you know what, this one could be a little easier for us. And for those who say, yeah, but that means the league's not as deep. No, it means that if you're a really good team, sometimes you need to take a breath in the dog days of the season.
Yeah.
And it doesn't require your best to win. Because what is it all about? It's about winning in March.
And you're going to rack up a big number if you're one of those top teams as well with the bottom the way it looks like in the Big Ten. Fanta, I want to go over to the Big East real quick. I mean, let's talk about Creighton. So the attitude and the momentum. You've been in Omaha a couple times this year, and you're familiar with it. Like how it is around here. It's a program that is used to consistent success. They've won an NCAA tournament game 5 years in a row. And as you look at them right now, they're 5-3 in the league. The Big East is down, and it certainly doesn't feel anything like it has over the last couple of years. How do you view Creighton at the moment in sort of this middle ground of, they still have an outside chance, I think, to make the NCAA tournament, but it certainly doesn't feel the same around here.
Yeah, a team that needs to seize its opportunity when it hosts UConn on January 31st. They've got to take advantage of the night. They need everybody in Omaha to be in the seats at that game and being just boisterous. It's got to start now. They need to go on a serious run. And it's got to start tomorrow night when they host Xavier, who they beat by 41 in the first meeting in December. And then they go to Marquette. Marquette, they're not what their record is, but that's just it. The league is down. And one of the biggest reasons why the league is down is because Creighton and Marquette, two schools that had been really carrying their weight, more than carrying their weight in the league, are both down. Because if both those schools were up, you'd be saying, well, you know what? The league's got Villanova back, and UConn's one of the best. And St. John's now looks like a top 25 team. I think that they are. And Seton Hall's having a surprise year. You'd be saying, all right, well, this league's got a solid 16. That's not the case. That's not the case. And so there's not enough great opportunities to get move the needle wins. And Creighton's already hosted St. John's. They did win at Villanova, but they gave it back when you lose to Providence. Providence is not going to be a good loss. It's just not. Not that there's any such thing, but Providence, the Friars, they're probably going. They're going to have to take a very hard look at their program, and there could be change coming there in March because of how things are going. And that might not be the only change in the Big East. I think that when you have a year like this that the league is having, it's cause for change, and it's cause for, all right, there's things that are not going right. Now, do I think that this is going to be a continuing trend year over year? No, I don't. Certainly for Creighton, this is whether Greg McDermott's the coach or not, and Greg's done an unbelievable job and is one of the best coaches in the country. Sometimes you're a victim of your own success, where you've won the five straight years with a tournament win, multiple runs to Sweet 16. So now everyone's like, well, you better win, and you better win a lot. Well, guess what? In the transfer portal era, you can swing and miss. I don't care how good evaluators you've got. And the fact is, in the front court, they swung and missed. And so now they got to try to patch it together. They're not totally dead, but they got to win the next two games, and then they host Connecticut Saturday night, Jan 31. And that's the night where if you're going to get back into the conversation, you got to find a way to be a Giants player. Wouldn't be the first time that the Blue Jays are that.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a pretty good summation of how things are going on at Creighton right now and the league in general. All right, Fanta, we're going to let you go. Sorry about our phone troubles. That was definitely on us. I mean, we have a wacky phone system.
Guys, I don't know what's going on with my phone. It's one of those mornings, but I appreciate you making the time.
Of course, as always, and we'll bump into you at some point soon.
Call anytime. Love you guys. Thank you.
John Fanta, NBC Sports. You can check him out on Peacock, I believe, tonight, right? With Michigan and Indiana.
In Ann Arbor.
Hell
you ever have that where you have your question like lined up and then the guest just takes the answer right in?
That's
so
why we love
over here.
Fanta.
It's like, okay, so after that first level, what are the teams that you kind of have your eye on? And he's like, Iowa is my dark horse.
Iowa, I agree with them for the.
Well, I mean, a lot
just
of people
the way
like
they
Ben
play,
McCollum.
the way they play with Sturts, and then
But I was looking at it. Obviously, they have the big win against Michigan too. But Wisconsin, since getting absolutely housed by Nebraska and losing to Villanova, has a loss to Purdue that people would find acceptable. Otherwise, they're 5-2 in conference. Have been playing a lot better basketball as of late too.
It'll be an interesting sort of breakdown in the Big Ten. But Nebraska's separated themselves from the middle and certainly the bottom of the conference at this point. Creighton, who we haven't really talked about in a couple of days, they'll play tomorrow, so we'll do that. Obviously then, but the margin for error is officially gone on them. So, like he said, it's a team that's probably just going to have to beat UConn at home, something that famously nobody has done this year in the Big East Conference. They are 8-0, and they are 18-1 overall. So get ready for the pink out game. It's gonna be a big one here in just a little more than a week's time. All right. Appreciate Fanta joining the show. We love to talk to him, and he could do anything. He could do radio, he could do TV, he could do play-by-play, he could do whatever it is. And so we appreciate him coming on the show. All right. That'll do it for us today. If you miss anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. It's a packed show, a lot of Indiana talk.
A lot of Indiana
and
talk.
even a Tom Allen update. The crossover is coming up next.